he said in the press conference yesterday, he goes, we can't make the mistake of, if it's 0-0, think we're losing, because we're not losing. And he said Italian teams, if it's 0-0, they'll think they're winning, and they're not winning. So we need to be patient and realise that 0-0 is an okay score.
The PA announcer, you may have heard just in the background, was trying to help Manchester City fans start a chant. I think they'll be fine. I don't think they're going to need your help over the course of this 90 minutes in the Champions League final. Jonathan, you just asked Chris the question, is he one of the best ever? Can I guess your answer then?
I think he is one of the best ever. I mean, before he went to Barcelona, they finished third in the league, 18 points behind Madrid. He took over, they finished, won the league, and they were 9 points clear. He's an innovator, and what he's done at Man City, all right, you can talk about having the best players and this and that, and having Messi, but you've got to get those type of players into the right position.
And why do they play so well?
Yeah.
Why are they so good? It's because he's in charge.
Exactly. He tells them how he wants it to play. Some of the football they play is unbelievable. The positions they find themselves in. John Stones into midfield, or Rico Lewis plays, goes into the centre of midfield, or the Messi as the false nine. He's an incredible manager, and even if he doesn't win tonight, he still goes down, in my view, as still one of the best.
I've just seen an effortlessly cool-looking man beneath us here with lots of people around him. I thought that must be a footballer. It's Christian Vieri, the legendary Inter Milan and Juventus striker, is just making his way beneath our commentary position right now. I mean, there's a bit of Erling Haaland about him. He's still absolutely massive, Sam. Look at him.
Yeah, absolute icon of. I mean, this is, when we've been talking so much about City, and obviously, look, it's English broadcaster, UK broadcaster. We're going to do that, but Inter, you know, their history. Lautaro Martinez yesterday was talked about. Diego Milito the last time they won it. Christian Vieri, players like that. Yeah, there's no shortage of superstars in this stadium. I managed to say quick hello to Sergio Aguero yesterday as well.
Did you?
Yeah, to see him knocking about.
And he said,
Balotelli's here. Sorry.
He said, who are you?
No, he was polite enough. I thought he'd probably thought he'd escaped me trying to approach him and speak to him in Spanish.
Sam, I just want to ask you one more before we let you go, because I was really interested in hearing what you're saying about the kind of anxiety of Pep Guardiola. When people talk about this thing of, you know, he's overthought a couple of big games and he's made selections A or B, why did he do that? He shouldn't have done that. But isn't the reality that you can't have one without the other? You can't have the success that comes with being, as Haaland called him, a details freak, without that anxiety and intensity.
But you can still get things wrong and hold your hands up and say, I got them wrong.
Sure, of course you can. Well, I don't understand your point.
Well, I understand the way you're looking at it, but and the way that he, of course, he has to think about team selection, this, that, and the other. But there's no doubt, you know, we analyse games that he has gotten a lot of things wrong in this competition in the past, and we have to say, however great he's been, he's made huge mistakes.
I'm not saying that he's got everything right. I'm just saying that is it that you can't have one without the other? The reason Pep is successful might also be the reason he sometimes gets it wrong.
Because he takes risks, and the brand of football which Manchester City, you know, have played since he's come in, you know, it's high risk football, and they do it better than anybody else. But they still have to get over the line in this competition, which is why tonight is so big for them.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's two sides of the same coin, isn't it? What we were talking there and what Vieira was saying, you're never sure what to expect. As an opposition coach, that is it. And it's okay, sometimes it doesn't work, but the vast majority of the time it does. And also, if it does work and he makes little changes, we don't really talk about it afterwards. We're too busy talking about other stuff. So yeah, he doesn't really quite get that credit for getting it right, but obviously when he does get it wrong, it's a disaster. So it's a bit out of proportion. But yeah, it's absolutely, you know, rough with the smooth.
Sam, brilliant to have you with us. Thank you very much. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks very much, guys.
Top man, Sam Lee, the Athletics Manchester City correspondent. As you can hear, things are starting to get loud inside the Ataturk Olympic Stadium. The noise you can hear to our left is the Inter fans shouting loud the surname of each of their players as it's read out by the announcer, who says the first name, Federico, and they shout DiMarco. They are incredibly loud. It is going to be a phenomenal atmosphere inside this stadium. We've been talking about Pep Guardiola so much. We better hear from him. So how does he see this Champions League dream? Is it a dream or an obsession?
It's absolutely a dream, yeah. Absolutely a dream. To achieve things, always you have to have the correct portion of obsession, you know, to desire, to want it. When obsession is a positive word for the fact to be desire and willing, you know, to try to do it. 2 years later, many things happen, different players, different competitions. So, what I'm pretty sure that 2 seasons ago, what we planned, what we had in mind is try to have success, to do good game against Chelsea. It didn't work. That's why all the people say the decision was wrong. And I have a plan, I have an idea. I communicate to the players, we're going to apply it. If it has success, the ideas will be good. If it's wrong, the ideas will be bad. So, but we are ready. I had the feeling that we are ready. The players will give absolutely everything, knowing and respecting a lot the opponents that we have ahead of us. Could not be otherwise. So, and yeah, go for it.
That is Pep Guardiola. We've got correspondent John Murray, Chris Sutton and Jonathan Woodgate with us inside the Ataturk Olympic Stadium. And the beat of the music is just starting to really reverberate in your chest as the Manchester City players make their way off the pitch and Michael Brown makes his way into the commentary box. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
In fact, I was a bit worried about you getting here at one point.
Oh, it's been an absolute disaster, mate. I went round the stadium about 3 times, but I can't moan. I'm here now, amazing stadium.
What do you mean?
Got me accreditation, here it is.
What do you mean you went round the stadium 3 times?
I was counting, right? I had the clock on. It took you, what, 4 seconds, was it?
Yeah, no. 3, maybe. You drove around it 3 times. That's quite unusual.
That's why I give you an elbow as I went to sit down early, because I knew like I had to get one in quickly. All right, not 3 times, but I went round a lot. It was just spinning in circles.
Yeah, I've got to say, mystic, Michael, because last night he called. I mean, he gets so much wrong on the radio. I sit there and shake my head most weeks. But he called Kyle Walker not starting tonight.
No, I didn't actually, and I knew you'd.
Well, I was just trying to give you a bit of credit
I get that, but I've got to be very careful, because just to clear this up, I said it was a possibility. So I said it was a possibility. It's something that Pep Guardiola could do. The other one was Bernardo Silva. Would he go with Riyad Mahrez, and would he bring in Ake, and how would he use Akanji? So he's made that decision, and. It is a bit of a shock. I don't know if it is for you. It was for me. I expected him to play. But again, with Pep Guardiola, you never rule out what are these decisions that he makes.
They've just had a big lighting change inside the Ataturk Stadium. They've shut off 3 or 4 of the big lights. It almost feels like a cinema just before the main event. And the show isn't that far away from starting. We're 20 minutes away. The Manchester City fans now have picked up their blue and white flags, and you can see the clear segments behind them as we move along the stand to the right-hand side. John Murray.
I think they're going to put all the lights off for the opening ceremony, the kick-off show, as they call it. So don't be alarmed when that happens.
What can you tell us about the act for the opening ceremony, John?
I can tell you in 6 minutes. In 6 minutes, we will hear from Burna Boy, Anita, and Alesso.
What does Burna Boy sing?
Well, funnily enough, I was reading about Burna Boy this week. They both performed. Beyonce and Burna Boy both performed in London last weekend. Who do you think had the bigger crowd?
Yeah, Michael, you know this sort of stuff.
Well, he's asked the question, hasn't he?
I mean, I would have said Beyonce, but because
don't be ridiculous.
But
Keep
because
up with
it's
the
so
times.
obvious, it must be Burna Boy.
It is Burna Boy had the bigger crowd at the West Ham Stadium. Beyonce was at the Tottenham Stadium.
I've got to be honest, Michael, when I saw a little note in front of me that said, John has a good stat on Burna Boy, I was sceptical. But there it is for you.
Well, he always pulls stats out of the bag. That's what he does. He's been sat up all night working these ones out. I'm sure he's got more in that little bit of a notebook that he's got going on. It doesn't surprise you. He just had the binoculars out as well. I tried to get in the line of them, but I knew I'd have got in trouble if I did. I tried my best, but yeah, another good one.
Michael, let's just go back in time from this Champions League final. We're less than 20 minutes away from kick-off. Manchester City have this unbelievable opportunity, and it is an unbelievable opportunity, to win their first treble, to be only the 2nd English club after Manchester United, only the 3rd British club after Celtic as well, who won all 4 trophies that they could play in. This is a million miles
5.
away.
Celtic was 5.
Sorry,
5.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you. You've saved me a lot of tweets. I appreciate that. The 5 trophies. that Celtic won. This is a million miles away from the City you were playing for in the 90s. The transformation is astounding. Like, how is it for you to see that?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I've seen, obviously, full turnaround from the club when I was a youngster, joining towards the top of the Premier League, to then a full change for them to come back and to be in this sort of situation with the infrastructure just behind the scenes. It's not just what we're seeing here, how big the club's getting all around the world. So really, this is the one, Steve, that really escalates it again. And it's one of them as well for the owners, isn't it? And they set off and gone, right, what do we need to do with this club? Can we win the Champions League? And they're certainly being close. The consistency's there from the football club now, year in, year out. The disappointment of Porto is still there, still burning a hole. And you know, if they can do this, heavy favourites now. The players seem much more comfortable, much more sort of accomplished to sort of go and get a win and being relaxed in this situation. So I feel like, you know, they should go and get this result.
Do you think they can be only slightly more relaxed? Because it felt like the game they were really worried about was losing the chance of a treble full stop by losing to Manchester United in FA Cup final.
Well, that was there, wasn't it? That would have been the one. Manchester United supporters obviously didn't give their team a chance, but to stop City winning the treble, it would have been a great story. But you just look at the games leading up to it, you know, in the draw, when we're seeing it leading up to get to the final, everyone was thinking, well, is that going to be a fate? Is City not going to do it again? But they really dispatched with the last two, didn't they? And it was unbelievable performance against Real Madrid, so convincing, and that's got to give them confidence now.
Well, as the lights go out in the Ataturk Olympic Stadium, the lights come on because so many Inter fans away to our left-hand side have put their lights on their phones. It looks like a gaggle, a collection of stars away to our left-hand side. And in the centre of the pitch, this huge carpet has just been laid across the whole surface. It goes from goal to goal. There's lots of sort of red hexagons on the pitch. It looks a bit like an unfinished game of blockbusters in the centre of the Ataturk Olympic Stadium. That's one for you, Chris.
Michael, did you used to watch blockbusters, Michael?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I used to play, yeah. There he goes.
I'm just waiting for John to produce the stats on how many of those are going in there now in the centre of the pitch.
Well, Manchester City just want you to give them a T for treble. We've got 15 minutes to kick off in the Champions League final. Manchester City and Inter Milan. The atmosphere is really building. John Murray, you know, you have done countless Champions League finals. How does this compare?
I enjoyed that. Give us a T for treble. That was very good. Very good. Yeah, you know, any match like this, any showpiece occasion like this, I know that some people don't like it. Some people would rather see us just get on with the match. But it just builds and is part of the occasion. So all of these Inter Milan fans and Manchester City fans who've come halfway across Europe, completely across Europe from a Manchester point of view, you know, it adds to the sense of occasion. It makes it feel like it's special.
I can almost, Jonathan, sort of feel it when the music beats. You can always just sort of feel it, like when you're next to the speakers at a gig.
It seems a lot of setting up though for 6 minutes of work, doesn't it? Huh? How many people you got down there running about?
Wait,
I saw one of the lads doing a full sprint like he was handing over a baton to someone.
If you don't like this, never watch the Super Bowl halftime show. You'll be absolutely fuming with it.
Let's have a watch and see what it's like, huh?
Well, they've got some bright green and blue lights that have started to go. It almost looks a bit like an Italian football flag with the white stickers and the white lights in front of us, and they've gone full stage, John Murray. This is like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, full stage, and as I say, this is. I mean, you have to marvel at what they've done here in the space of just a few minutes. They've effectively set up a concert stage on the Champions League pitch. So it'll be all beginning very shortly. But one thing I think we should mention as well is, you know, everyone's very conscious here of the fact that this earthquake happened in this country, you know, just earlier this year, and what a devastating effect it had on thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people in this country. And that's very much being a part of what we've done tonight. And already this evening, they've actually asked for donations to the people affected by the earthquake. And last night, hundreds of people who survived but had people who were killed in the earthquake were invited here last night to be a part of it all and to watch the training sessions, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. John Murray, our correspondent here in the Ataturk Olympic Stadium. And in front of us now, wow, fireworks just explode from the roof, the pyrotechnics, and coming up from the pitch as well, shooting up into the night sky in Istanbul. It's almost like a trophy lift. There is so much going on, so much smoke filling the pitch at the minute for what they are calling the kick-off show. And I can see Burna Boy. It is my first time seeing him live. And he's wearing a golden suit, draped in gold from head to toe. Right, that's enough about that. Let's focus on the football. We've heard from City fans in Manchester. Let's get a flavour of what they're saying here in Istanbul. Juliet Farrington has been talking to them as they arrive at the stadium.
And it's just about time for him now. He will come alive tonight. You just watch. He will come alive.
How many goals is he going to score? What's going to be the scoreline prediction from you guys?
Well, I'm going to go with City to win by 3 clear goals. Haaland will be marked by, obviously, then.
Play to them.
Right, well, supposedly we're close to kick-off in the Champions League final. We've got Chris Sutton, Jonathan Woodgate and correspondent John Murray with us. Michael Brown is with us for a few minutes as more as the kick-off show surely must soon be drawing to its conclusion, and those sort of blockbusters hexagons have now been brought to the middle of the pitch, and they've all suddenly turned a colour of gold as they go through this dance routine. Michael, do you want me to ask you about this, or should we stick to football?
Yeah, I think we could go for football, can't we?
That would
it's
be
impressive,
brilliant.
though. Very, very impressive. But let's talk about the football. It's right on kick-off now, what these players are thinking.
When that Champions League anthem plays in a few minutes' time, it's going to be hairs standing on the back of necks. I know that it isn't the thing that Manchester City fans like, but I cannot imagine what it'll be like for these players.
That'll be an amazing sort of feeling on it, walking out into the centre with that opportunity and just looking around. They'll be aware of what's going on, how big this occasion is, and you know, the chance to go and obviously make history with a treble. I think that's something as well that you can't take away from it. And we discussed on the show last night with Chris about the players coming into this country, into the Premier League, into England. What they really want is this trophy. That's something that they've joined Manchester City for, and it's not only that, it's the manager as well wants that return. So it's just an amazing occasion.
Well, the concert appears to be over. The star acts are leaving the field.
Not over yet, Steve. We've still got Alesso to do his.
Oh, for goodness sake.
We're only 2/3 of the way through it.
Well, I heard this music was on tape, and I thought that must be it, surely. We've only got 7 minutes.
Well, these things take time, Jonathan said.
Well, must be a delayed kick-off show. They're going to clear that pitch in that matter of time.
I did not hear any fans shouting one more song, but goodness me, more fireworks above the Ataturk Stadium here. All different colours, the reds and the golds and the blues, and still more pyrotechnics on the pitch as well. They're absolutely no expense spared that Turkey has put on. And we were saying only the other day, John, you know, Turkey, Istanbul got this Champions League final, and it feels like a little bit of a pat on the back for not getting other events in the past.
Well, you know, I know that many Manchester City fans have had a real struggle getting here, as Michael will testify to. But, you know, if you think last year, Stade de France, one of the great stadiums of Europe, what a mess was made of that. Year before the Euro finals at Wembley, what a mess was made of that. But here tonight, I mean, what they're putting on inside the stadium is, I have to say, truly spectacular. The fireworks display.
Look how quick they're going to clear it up as well. This is the test, isn't it? That's what we've been waiting. Hundreds of them.
Yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's going to look like a time lapse, but it's going to be done in real time. Right now, I can see that there are about 30 volunteers who've just rushed on. It looks a bit like they're rushing on with the covers at Edgbaston next week for the first test of the Ashes. Let's hope that's not what happens. But they've just sprinted onto the pitch. But instead of putting stuff on, they're taking stuff off. And they've got to take stuff off. They've got to do it because we've got a Champions League final to kick off in just a few minutes' time. So the carpet is being rolled back. The big hexagons of the stage is being dismantled. They're going at a lick, John.
I think the priority will be to make sure they get all of those fireworks fuses moved off the pitch. We don't want them going off during the game.
It's also, Jonathan, just created this huge mist across the pitch as well, which
like
needs to
being back
clear.
in Middlesbrough.
Well, I think trying to get back my knowledge of pop music, that was the XX's Mystified that we just heard in the background. And we were a little bit mystified over the course of the last few minutes about how we were going to get a Champions League final going on time. I can see that the players are just starting to line up in the tunnel as well. İlkay Gündoğan at the head of the list, the head for Manchester City, of course. The PA announcer is about to tell us that the players will be with us very, very shortly indeed. Some of the lights have been turned back on inside the Atatürk Olympic Stadium. There are big white spotlights just surrounding the whole of the playing surface now. 4 minutes away from kickoff. Michael Brown and Manchester City going to do this?
Oh, I hope so. The trophy's just going there now onto the pitch. That's what they want to do. And listen, they've never got a better chance, Steve, of winning this after going through what they've been. Just to get to this level, to get to the confidence and how well they've been dispatching of teams. So they've got to go on and really, really set the tone very, very early. What's going to be interesting is how they're going to start the game. Is it going to be quick? Is it going to be direct? Or they're going to have a little bit more control?
The former Turkey captain, Hamit Altintop, who we heard from earlier, is just walking off the pitch, having gone through his pre-match presentation. And now the sound you can hear is Adam Yorgi, who is a concert pianist, who is down there with a full grand piano, obviously. Why not? It's the 2023 Champions League final. And he is going to play live the Champions League anthem as the presentation parties begin to walk out, as the Champions League emblem is unveiled in the centre of the pitch and whipped up and down by 30 or 40 people. The flag of Inter Milan away to the left-hand side, the flag of Manchester City away to the right-hand side, accompanied by this beautiful piano music. It is time, Manchester City fans, the chance for a treble, an historic tectonic shift in the city that straddles two continents. The Champions League final on 5 Live with Jonathan Woodgate, Chris Sutton, and inside the Atatürk Olympic Stadium, your correspondent, John Murray.
What an amazing scene we've got inside the stadium here. They have gone all out for this Champions League final here in Istanbul. And Adam Yorgi, what a flourish that was to finish it off. Brilliant, brilliant from the concert pianist, the Hungarian concert pianist, to finish off the Champions League anthem as the teams walked out and lined up either side of the halfway line.
Ladies and gentlemen, now the starting lineups for this evening.
So for only the second time, we at BBC Radio Sport are about to bring you commentary on a Champions League final here in Istanbul, this chaotic and characterful city. The city on the Bosphorus. It's the place where East meets West. It's the place where Europe meets Asia. And tonight, it's where Manchester meets Milan. The teams are just lining up for their pre-match photographs. As we look down from up here, high on the dressing room side of the Ataturk Stadium, Inter Milan in their blue and black stripes, lining up for their photograph in front of dozens and dozens of photographers, and Manchester City in the sky blue, white shorts and blue socks are to the right. İlkay Gundogan marches across and stretches out his right hand to shake hands with Marcelo Brozovic, the Croatian World Cup player who is captaining Inter this evening. Handshakes, pennants are exchanged, and the officials there as well in orange shirts. It is Simon Marciniak who's refereeing the match tonight, the man who took charge of the World Cup final in Qatar before Christmas, and the man who was in charge when Manchester City...
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live. Information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk. Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this.
Let someone else do the grafting. Combine multiple markets such as corners, shots and even red cards with Paddy's most popular bet builder.
This is just a cakewalk for Manchester City, but it's amazing how your mind plays tricks with you, and I'm thinking, well, this could be anything but.
City, light blue shirts and white shorts are kicking from right to left in this first half. First chance for Inter to get the ball over the halfway line to the Dutch defender Denzel Dumfries. Good ball down the line for him, but Edin Dzeko tackled himself as he tried to control it with his right foot. It just flicked off his left. And that heavy touch goes over the dead ball line and out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Ederson. Away to our right-hand side in the second minute here on TalkSport. The Champions League final live and still 0-0.
Yeah, just looking at the match, Inter going on a full court press here, pressing really high from this goal kick. But this is the beauty of having Ederson in your lineup. He can cane the ball 100 or so yards, you know, and turn your team round.
He's elected to play it out instead towards Akanji over on the right-hand side. And as Inter applied that press, the three Manchester City centre-halves split very wide. Ake back in the side tonight, just coming in off the left. Passing the ball to Ruben Diaz. Diaz just slowing things right down, just trying to draw Edin Dzeko towards him before laying it back for his goalkeeper, Ederson. And Ederson will ping it towards halfway. Good header from Çalhanoğlu, who came to meet him. And then Ake will put it high up in the air. City able to bring it down and get it under control. Still plenty of smoke billowing in the air from the pre-match entertainment. Just rising, won't be affecting the players at all. And the ball at the back with the into-back line, and with the experienced Cherby in the middle of the three centre-halves. And he gets the ball back, then goes to his right-hand side for the one-time Manchester United defender Darmian, out towards Dumfries. His ball stabbed forward towards halfway, he's headed down by Rodri. De Bruyne, good ball in towards Haaland, who blazes it over the bar, but he was offside anyway. But first sight of goal for Erling Haaland, coming 2.5 minutes in.
Yeah, sharp play there. As soon as De Bruyne got it on the half turn, looking to penetrate the back line of Inter, Haaland just moves that run just slightly too soon on that occasion. I think looking at Inter here as well, Dumfries, the right wing back, he'll look to get beyond the other side of Grealish if he can and tempt Ake out of his slot at sort of left back or left of the three central defenders.
Maslony playing it forward for Brozovic, vastly experienced. Defensive shield in that midfield for Inter. Back he goes for Onana. Onana, the former Ajax goalkeeper, down towards Denzel Dumfries. He plays it forward. Barella goes to ground. And Gundogan's boot was raised high as he went for the ball. And the referee has stopped play because Barella's gone down holding his head. But no suggestion it was a foul by Ilkay Gundogan, who's come into this game in such sparkling form with those 2 goals last week in the FA Cup final and 6 in his last 4 games against top-flight opposition. Play restarts with a drop ball. The referee just presenting it to Ake inside his own half. And Barella's okay without the need for any treatment, and he is able to continue. Inter in their traditional colours of dark blue and black. Is conceded by DiMarco, who just followed Bernardo Silva back inside his own half and caught him, and City take the free kick quickly.
Yeah, I think Inter's approach is this: look, if it goes for a dead ball at all, we're going to squeeze on and get a high court press on everything. Quite happy to go 3-3-3 at the back in effect to sort of squeeze everybody on. But we are respectful when City have got the ball, and we're making sure that we've got no rooms between the lines.
And City have played round the captain Brozovic. Gundogan laying it off to his right-hand side, taken on towards the edge of the penalty area. It's swept by Rodri out to the Manchester City right here for Bernardo Silva, and he will take on DiMarco inside the penalty area, and from a tight angle he's fired across the face of goal and just wide of the top left-hand corner.
Well, when the ball went out to the little magician there, Silva, he burst into the box, and it was DiMarco backing off, and in the end he's whipped a ball across, and I think you and I were waiting for the far corner of the goal to ripple, and it was just wide.
5.5 gone here on TalkSport in the Champions League final between Manchester City and Internazionale. Onana plays the ball out to DiMarco, versatile defender but playing on the left of the back 5 today. And City work it, having won it back to Ederson. Ederson taking a touch, bringing it to the right-hand side of his penalty area. And then City will work it forward from Akanji, through the midfield for Rodri. Haaland comes short to meet it and had his ankles swept away from him as he did so. It was a poor challenge from Cherby, just following him out. And I think it's going to be Cherby who will be performing the Rudiger role, if you like, against Haaland today. His Nathan Ake is in possession. Down he comes towards De Bruyne. Down towards the edge of the penalty area. An opportunity for Inter to try and bring it away with Brozovic. Brozovic down towards the right-hand touchline, laying it back towards Onana. Just a couple of nervy touches from him. A slightly poor piece of control. De Bruyne is paying a little bit of lip service and coming and putting a challenge in on him, and then Dumfries knocks it down. Ake will be able to win it back and guide it back to Ruben Dias. Into the feet of Rodri, and back for Ake again. Manchester City getting a foothold in the game. Good early possession here through the opening 7 minutes. And it's still 0-0 as they work it out to the far touchline, which is the City right. And a lot of the game not being played at an outstanding tempo. Both the teams just having to let the ball be played at walking pace at times. But now City will mix it up, try and get Gundogan in past Brozovic, who recovered well, the Croatian, on that occasion. Darmian will play it across the edge of his own penalty area, and it'll be cleared by Bastoni down towards the into right-hand side, and they'll try and get Barella into play, which they've managed.
Yeah, it's those situations that the wing-backs of Inter, they're going to be so important tonight. They've got to advance and have been advancing beyond Grealish and beyond Silva when City are pressing, and those little balls over the top of the City press is getting them some space. On this side of the pitch, Dumfries receiving the ball and Barella looking to come and support him out wide.
So City working out towards Bernardo Silva. And he's gone back inside his own half, and then it's played all the way back for Ederson, controlling it just outside his own penalty area. City coming into this on the back of 19 wins in 23 games, just the one reverse in the last 27 matches they played in all competitions, which was a fixture of academic interest only, really, away at Brentford towards the end of the season. It's a sparkling run. Inter, on the other hand, not in bad form themselves. Only one defeat in 13, and they've won all but one of their last 12 games in all competitions, including the Coppa Italia final, where they came from behind a goal down inside 3 minutes of that game against Fiorentina, but were 2-1 up before the break and held on to win by that scoreline. Lautaro Martinez has hardly had a kick so far today. He was the man that scored both goals in that game. City in possession over on the far side. Good harrying coming from DeMarco. Having one possession back was then fouled. And it's a free kick that Inter will take about 15 yards inside City territory. Still 0-0 here on TalkSport in the Champions League final.
Yeah, what Inter can't afford to do is any time the ball's pushed forward into Haaland's feet, they've done it really well at the moment. They've got really tight with Haaland. On the odd occasion give a foul away, but if he gets a platform to play, the City players will get to him very quickly to join in to build an attack.
Cherby, invariably the deepest lying of the three centre-halves. They are doing their best to get the wing-backs forward when they're in possession. Try and make it a 3-3-4 formation. There's been plenty of speculation that Inter wouldn't really be quite as advanced with the wing-backs in this game as they ordinarily are. They found some space in the midfield here. Çalhanoğlu out towards DeMarco, left-hand side of the penalty area. It's fired in. The right wing-back Dumfries was the most advanced target. City can get it away. And will play it out towards the right-hand touchline where they've ended up winning a throw. But that was the first time that we've seen Inter be able to switch the play out towards the left-hand side, and they almost worked a half opening.
Yeah, they managed to switch to the right to Dumfries on occasion, and Barella just dropping into this area. Certainly on that occasion, good setup. I think Inter will be quite pleased with the start of the game that they've had at the moment.
Been able to keep things very tight in the Champions League. They had one game they drew 3-3 with Benfica. That's the only knockout tie they've played in the six in which they've conceded goals. So they have the ability to be able to frustrate opposition, even opposition that have scored 150 in all competitions this season. There's a kicking error from Ederson as the ball was played back to him. He's under very little pressure, but he sent a lofted chip out towards Ake and sailed over his head and straight out of play for a throw that will be taken on the into right-hand side, about 15 yards from the corner flag. Denzel Dumfries, wearing 2, Dutch international right back, will be the man that will take it. He's taken 3 or 4 steps back from the touchline, now runs up, stops, arches his back, hurls it in. City win first contact, and it's sent high in from Bastoni, and it's an awkward one that Ederson came to me. He's trying to shepherd the ball out of play, but he was put under pressure over on the far touchline. And City do end up getting a goal kick, and John Stones not happy. Felt that Lautaro Martinez made the most of the challenge and went down looking for a free kick. But it's a goal kick that has been given. It'll be taken by City away to the right-hand side, but maybe a few signs of early Ederson nerves with 12 gone at 0-0.
Yeah, I don't think they've settled into the game particularly well at the moment, City. A couple of errors there by Ederson and a couple of giveaways, possessions in the mid-band of the pitch.
Got another free kick, and they've taken it from about 15 yards further back than was strictly necessary, but wanted to take it as quickly as possible to switch it out to the left. Ake now for Kevin De Bruyne. Right-footed ball over the top from him. Haaland will chase it. It's headed away. Brought down again by De Bruyne, right in front of Simone Inzaghi. Now played forward through the midfield into the feet of John Stones. Laid back by Rodri. Stones has stayed down, having been fouled. And Martinez will help him back to his feet. So free kick's okay. Free kick that City will take from inside the centre circle. With Ake working it out to the right for Akanji. Bernardo Silva controlling in his white boots, laying it back inside his own half again. Ake to Grealish, but under immediate pressure from Dumfries, and telling pressure as well. Grealish goes to ground. Referee acknowledges that he was fouled. City have still got the ball and will be allowed to continue. It's 0-0 here on TalkSport. 13 gone. City working it forward, trying to find Haaland, but stepping up from the defensive line, Cherby can knock it away, and then they'll chip one down the touchline. An opportunity here for Dimarco in an advanced role on the Inter left. High ball swung in from him, and that'll end up being blocked as the cross comes in from Barella, and he goes out of play for the first quarter of the night, which will be won by Inter Milan.
Yeah, I think that proviso that we heard Pep talk about in his press conference about 0-0 is a reasonable result for the Italian side, as it is the English side, is certainly going to play its part, because at the moment it seems as though the bias has edged towards Inter.
Well, the corner will be taken on the right by Çalhanoğlu. Spots the ball down. He's got the opportunity of working one short into the feet of Dimarco. In fact, Dimarco will come all the way across the corner quadrant, and he may well be the man that will take it. So it could be a left-footed in-swinger from him, right-footed away swinger from Çalhanoğlu. It's worked short by Dimarco, then swept in by Barella, headed away by Haaland. And the danger of Inter's first corner is very quickly alleviated. Ball is played back for Onana, who's inside his own half. The goalkeeper up near the edge of the centre circle in receiving that. Plays it to Brozovic, then goes back inside his penalty area. And Barella plays it back for Brozovic again, just whilst the defensive shape is restored. Into slowing things down to a standstill inside their own penalty area. Now driving it forward. Long ball from Onana, headed away. Brought under control by Ake in the centre of midfield. Flicked on by Dumfries. He's done well to win it back. Chance for Martinez to try and bring it forward. He goes to ground. Get an angry reaction from the City players, who felt that he was trying to gain an advantage there unfairly. Silva's got possession just over the halfway line in Inter territory. And Gundogan with a long switch of play will bring Grealish into it. Good control from him. The ball goes out of play off him. It's just cleverly flicked off Jack Grealish last touch by Edin Dzeko for a throw that will be taken by Inter level with the edge of their own penalty area. We played 15 minutes in the final. It's still 0-0 and a pretty even contest so far. Alongside me, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, it certainly is an even contest at the moment. There's just a couple of building blocks from Inter at the moment, just feeding them a little bit of confidence, and the odd giveaway of possession by City has certainly eroded theirs a touch.
It's the first ever meeting of these two sides. The first Champions League final since Liverpool beat Milan here, that the two finalists have never previously met. City's last knockout tie against Italian opposition in the UEFA Cup back in the late 1970s, when they beat Milan 5-2 on aggregate. Hoping for a similarly successful night against Milanese opposition, it would mean infinitely more. Ball's gone out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Manchester City left. That's the near touchline as they kick from right to left. And they're defending the end of the ground that houses the Manchester City supporters. Away to our right, a sea of sky blue. Ake preparing to take this throw. Towards halfway, headed back by Darmian, and did well to come to meet it, stepping up from the defensive line. Ake then loses out to Brozovic, who will take it down towards the touchline, trying to win a throw, and hasn't succeeded. Grealish has done well, just flicked it off him, and it's out for a throw that will be taken on the Manchester City left. What does City need to do to stamp their identity on this game, Stuart? They haven't been able to do it so far.
No, they've built up from the back, and they've tried to play short from the back all the time. I think, especially Edison, he needs on occasion just to tonk a little ball up to to Haaland, because Inter have gone 3-on-3 across the whole width of the pitch, probably at the back end of their own circle, and just to turn them round a little bit and say, look, if you keep coming and pressing us hard, we're happy to turn you round, and then the press isn't so violent.
Yeah, it has been a much more adventurous approach from Inter by and large so far. But now they will face up in a line of 5 at the back as City win a free kick on halfway. You listen to the Champions League. It's live on TalkSport with Till, the card payment provider from NatWest. 0-0 and largely chanceless through the opening 17 minutes. We haven't had a shot on target from either side so far. Ruben Dias to Akanji. Akanji playing on the right of the 3 centre-halves. If you're just joining us, haven't heard the team news, Kyle Walker's been left out. He's on the bench. Ake's playing. So Ake on the left of the 3. And Akanji's moved out to the right. Good ball played forward. Well met by Haaland. It bounced up and he guided a header down off the bounce to Jack Grealish, who takes it down towards the corner flag. Ball has hit the corner flag. Acerbi is now between Grealish and the ball and has back-heeled it out of play for a throw that Manchester City will take. He's trying to buy the throw. Didn't come off for him. De Bruyne taking the throw. In short, into the feet of İlkay Gündoğan. And then De Bruyne drives it in, hits Darmian, and goes out of play right by the corner flag. But it is, as Darmian claimed, a throw rather than a corner. This time De Bruyne has worked it short into the feet of Jack Grealish. Grealish 10 yards from the corner flag. He's trying to protect the ball. Swept away from him by Barella. Into trying to get it forward quickly. Rodri stopped that happening. Poor defensive header though from Ake. Gündoğan comes back. He can only steer it into the path of Lautaro Martinez. And City do well to mop up. Bernardo Silva covered an awful lot of ground there. Came back into the midfield and just nipped in ahead of Edin Dzeko to guide it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, the alarm bells are ringing then. And that crossfield pass, just trying to get DeMarco, it was, in on a forward run.
And they can do exactly that now. DeMarco bringing the ball forward on the left flank. Through the midfield into the feet of Brozovic. Brozovic and Martinez, and a rising drive clatters over the bar from long way out from Lautaro Martinez. 28 goals this season. He's been in really good form as the season's come to its conclusion. 11 in his last 13 games. But he's not had a good record in this competition this season. Only 3 Champions League goals. In fact, he's only scored 4 in his last 23 matches in this competition. Couldn't hit the target there. Another half chance has gone the way of Inter Milan. They've had the majority of them so far. 3 shots, all off target. City with just the 1, which was the Bernardo Silva effort that went across the face of goal from about 8 yards out. City in possession at the back, inside their own half with Ruben Dias. Play forward towards İlkay Gündoğan, back for Dias, and now down towards Ake. Ake will bring it forward towards halfway. He's got it again. And plays it down towards De Bruyne. De Bruyne right on the left-hand touchline. Darmian knew that he was going to funnel the ball backwards, so didn't really engage. Now De Bruyne gets it again and can clip it forward, just trying to get one to die around the edge of the penalty area for Grealish to run onto. The ball just made its way through towards Onana and it's still 0-0.
I wouldn't be surprised there when De Bruyne sort of got a half turn there. He was looking for potentially Haaland to come and fill that void. It ended up being a probably slightly closer ball to Grealish.
Play forward towards Dumfries. Dumfries back for Edin Dzeko. Dzeko scored 72 goals in Manchester City colours, won a couple of Premier League titles. Good defensive header, diving Nathan Ake, about 20 degrees to the ground as he steered that one to a teammate. City forced to go back again, but go back to take a step forward. Pep in a suit and black t-shirt today just stands on the edge of his technical area, both hands up, getting the message across to his players just to calm things down. Everything okay at the moment, 0-0. And City unable to race into a blistering start as they have in so many of their stellar fixtures this season, including the cup final last week. It's been a little bit more cagey than many would have anticipated. Just approaching the midway stage of the first half. It's 0-0. Gündoğan laying it back, then getting it back again, right in the challenge of Brozovic, and then DeMarco. And And then City can work it out towards the right. DeMarco stayed down injured, no foul. Ball inside the area. Gundogan has let it run. It's brought down by Grealish. Coming to meet it is Ake on the edge of the area. He's flicked it up. Looks as though it hit a hand of Brozovic. Plays allowed to continue. DeMarco is still down hurt. And Grealish has conceded a throw ultimately. Now DeMarco can get whatever treatment is necessary.
Yeah, I'm not overly sure. Well, he's certainly... No, he's all right. He's moved. The play's been stopped now and he's decided to get up. I think he's OK. But at this moment in time, something needs to fall City's way at present. They're not finding the space. They're not finding the overloads. We're just looking at a replay of that. And by the way, DeMarco's got a fair point. Just got over the top of the ball and studs on the in the instep there.
Yep, absolutely. No feigning injury there. That should have been a free kick to Inter. It is a throw to restart play, which the Italians will take. Finished third in Serie A this season. Actually lost 12 games in the leagues, more than their 3 previous league campaigns combined. But in this competition, they have excelled. Finished second in their group, but significantly ahead of Barcelona. And they've been very impressive in the knockout stages, where they've been unbeaten, haven't lost any of the legs. 6 games that they've played since Christmas in the Champions League. 0-0 here, 23 minutes gone. And Dumfries plays it back for Darmian. Darmian to the edge of his own penalty area for Andre Onana. And Onana's going to drive it forward, right-footed. Goes over the head of DeMarco. He's the most advanced of the Inter players for a moment. And it goes through towards Ederson. What does City do to need to stop this attacking threat that we're seeing from Inter, particularly from the wing-backs, and DeMarco in particular getting forward from that left-hand side?
Well, City are intent on getting up and pressing, certainly with their front three, the 2 wide players and Haaland. And when they do that, the wing-backs just go beyond those wide players, and it's difficult for the likes of Ake and Akanji to get up and engage, because it leaves too much space in behind with the 2 strikers. So what they're going to have to do is be a little bit patient on their press.
Now Jack Grealish is in possession for Manchester City, and he's just given a shove there by Barella. He's frustrated with the decision. It looked the correct one. Free kick to Manchester City. The inside left channel, taken short by De Bruyne to find Gundogan, and straight back for the Belgian again. 0-0, just past the midway stage of the first half here on TalkSport. With Ake going back inside his own half for Ruben Dias. Dias on the edge of the centre circle, able to work it forward out towards Stones. Stones now to Bernardo Silva. Stones had a gallivanting run forward down the right-hand side, but the ball is worked back towards Ruben Dias. Ake to Ilkay Gundogan. Grealish coming in off the left-hand side. Haaland sticks out a left leg and immaculately controlled it. Almost inconceivable that he was able to bring the ball down and feed Kevin De Bruyne. Nothing came of it, and Inter were able to clear, but not for the want of trying. And now City give it away cheaply in the midfield. It looks as though Barella is in a position that he could play a long switch. City have been able to deal with that threat, and then Ake slides in, and then they've lost it again, and Ederson was miles out. And Barella looked up, ball came to his feet, he was 45 yards out. The goal's completely unguarded, and he's not been able to hit the target. He's not come close to hitting the target, but Ederson coming out, it was a sloppy ball, and he could have been punished for it.
I've just seen a close-up of Pep there, and just seeing him mouth to his goalkeeper and players, relax, relax. And that's probably exactly what needs to happen here. You know, Inter are the team that have settled better into this game, and City have found it very, very difficult to be fluid in their play.
Bernardo Silva's in possession on the Manchester City right. I guess it's all well and good saying relax. Sometimes when somebody tells you to relax, it has the opposite effect, doesn't it?
I'm tensing up as you're telling me to relax.
Yeah, it makes it even more difficult. Diaz has got it on the edge of the centre circle, down towards Ake. The 6 of this starting lineup for Manchester City tonight have played in a Champions League final before. Have got a fair few in the squad, although only 3 in the starting lineup who featured in a Europa League final defeat 3 years ago. City work it forward here. Here's Haaland. Here's his moment. And Onana is able to make the save. Couldn't work it wide of him. Comes back out towards Grealish now. left-hand side of the penalty area. Back for Rodri, right in the challenge of Brozovic. He's played it back for Grealish again. Grealish clipping it in. Dumfries can head that one clear. And he comes out to the Manchester City right for Akanji. To Silva. And he's taking on DiMarco, and he leaves it for De Bruyne, who stands one up, but behind the goal, out of play. But Haaland's been really quiet, but it was very nearly a typical Haaland night. One side of goal, and he could, probably by his standards, should have scored. Onana standing up and getting a left hand to it by his thigh to be able to beat the shot away.
Yeah, super interaction there between De Bruyne, and great movement by Haaland. And he's just was stretching on the strike. He's just pushed himself slightly too wide, stretching on the strike, and probably couldn't get the pace and power to drive across the face of the goalkeeper.
Has scored 12 goals in the Champions League this season. That's 4 more than any other player. 12 goals coming in 10 ties, including 5. A 7-0 win against Leipzig. He's batting it much better than a goal a game in the Champions League in his career. Unable to add to the 37 he scored in this competition then is Kevin De Bruyne bringing it forward, getting it onto his right foot, and maybe just took a little nick off Brozovic on his way through, but Onana could take a hasty step to his left and with quick hands bring the ball into his body, and it remains 0-0, but a much better couple of minutes for Manchester City.
Yeah, just a nick there, I think, off the midfield of Inter, that just drew the ball back into the goalkeeper and made life a little bit easier for him.
And now Inter can't get out, and they're giving it away to Gundogan, and Grealish plays it in and gets the angle all wrong. And Haaland 12 yards out, and he had Bernardo Silva making a run, but he played it far too close to the goalkeeper. And the game has just opened up and become much more stretched just over the last 2-3 minutes or so. Here's Edin Dzeko, caught from behind by Ake, and it's a free kick to Inter, but De Bruyne is down hurt. Dzeko back on his feet after that challenge, but De Bruyne looks very pensive. He's got back to his feet and now is back down on his haunches again. And Pep seems to be indicating to the medical staff to get on there and attend to him, and he sent Phil Foden out to warm up.
Well, this isn't good news for Manchester City, because if they're going to have an individual that's going to cause problems to Inter, it's certainly this man De Bruyne. And the medical team are onto him now, and he's back down on his backside. And it looks like potentially a hamstring problem, like he's just pointed to.
So Foden out warming up. Will have been very frustrated that he's not played much more of a significant part in this Champions League campaign. But he may well get an hour in the final. De Bruyne still down and being attended to by 2 of Manchester City's medical staff, and he makes his way off the field as he has to, but is he going to be coming back on? Looks as though he is. Foden continues to warm up though. Hopefully that'll just be precautionary. And Kevin De Bruyne is going to come back on in a moment. It remains 0-0 in the Champions League final here on TalkSport. We've played 30 minutes. Pep's still cutting a very animated figure in his technical area. But he's calling for Foden, and I think it will be Foden for De Bruyne in a minute or so.
Yeah, I mean, they've not had a great start to the game as it speaks at the moment. Inter have settled into it. It's their fans that are bouncing off to our left. But losing De Bruyne will probably be the biggest problem they've got, that they've suffered in these first 30 minutes.
Darmian in possession for Inter. On the right of the 3 centre-halves, finds a Cherby. From him to Bastoni. The Italians played more than 150 games for Inter, still only 24. Cherby, much more senior partner at the back, the former Lazio man, 10 years as senior, goes back for Onana taking a touch and had time for a second and a third to get it away from Haaland. Into trying to invite the City press, they've given it away. De Bruyne stabbing it forward. Grealish knew he was offside and could make no attempt to try and get that, and the ball just dribbles over the line and out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken away to our left-hand side. The season's not over yet. England have got a couple of games coming up. They're in Malta next Friday from 7:45, and then at home to North Macedonia a week on Monday, also at 7:45. Both of those games are qualified for Euro 2024. We've got them both live from the stadium for you on Talk Sport. Wales and Scotland have got games coming up as well. Scotland away to Norway and Wales away to Turkey. And Norway-Scotland next Saturday, 5 p.m. on Talk Sport 2. Turkey-Wales a week Monday, 7:45 on Talk Sport 2. Foden is stripped and ready for action, but they're still, from afar, assessing Kevin De Bruyne, who's continuing to play for now. Diaz down towards Ake. 32 minutes gone in the Champions League final, and it has been relatively cagey. There have been passages of play where it's opened up, and City have had a better 5 minutes coming up to this point than they'd had in the first 20-25 minutes or so. Just the one shot on target for Inter, a couple for Manchester City so far. Haaland testing Onana. Rodri in possession here for City, bringing forward and finding Ilkay Gundogan. Grealish coming in off the left-hand touchline again, but Gundogan worked it square to his right-hand side. Ake can take over, nudge it away from Barella and Dzeko. Go back for Ruben Diaz. Everybody apart from Ederson is in Inter's half of the field. Diaz then stumbled and slipped in possession. He was able to get back to his feet quickly enough to make sure the ball didn't run away from him, because that could have been very awkward. And he's got the ball back at his feet again now after a touch from his goalkeeper. The City forced back inside their own half. Ilkay Gundogan has it. Played to him by Ake. Gundogan flipping it forward through the midfield. Stones coming to meet it. Chests it down. Back for Gundogan again. Under pressure from Darmian. Stones forward towards the left-hand side. Will turn neatly in possession. Work it back through the centre circle. Goes out from Akanji to Bernardo Silva. Now Silva with an opportunity to try and run at DiMarco. Slips it down the right-hand side of the penalty area for Stones. Back he comes for Silva again. He's got DiMarco on the corner of the box. Kevin De Bruyne. 5 outside the penalty area. Back for Akanji. City able to string the passes together with a little bit more ease now. Get themselves into a perceptive position. It's flicked inside the penalty area from that right-hand side by De Bruyne, and again he's got the angle wrong on the cross. It's the second time that's happened. Just curved over the dead ball line, over the bar, and it will be a goal kick that will be taken by Onana. He raised the right hand, I think by way of apology rather than a signal to the bench that he's not able to continue, but Phil Foden is going to be coming on. And with 10 minutes of this first half remaining, I think Kevin De Bruyne's race has run, and the second successive Champions League final the City have played, and he's going to have to go off because of injury.
Well, I thought it would be fair to say, Jim, that the first goal in this contest was going to be important. If we made that statement 35 minutes ago, it is certainly so relevant now. I think it almost might end up a 1-0 game, this game, the way things are going at the moment. So this first goal, whichever way it comes, is going to be so vital. And with De Bruyne going off, that is not good for the City fans.
So would you expect that this will see Bernardo Silva move into a more central area and Foden play on the flank? Because Pep has talked before that he doesn't see Phil Foden as being a 10 or an 8.
Yeah, well, he's just going to join. He looks as though he's going to just fill the boots that De Bruyne was playing, basically, the left side of a potential 3 midfielders, by the looks of it at this moment in time.
So chance for Phil Foden to shine in this position. Kevin De Bruyne off again. And injury occurs in the big game. Has struck again.
I'll tell you who's played well so far in this game, Dzeko. He's held the ball up really well. He's been a good physical presence, and he's held the ball with his feet. His feet are, he certainly manipulated the ball really well under pressure at times.
Well, he is a fantastic foil for Lautaro Martinez. He's not a prolific goal scorer anymore, Edin Dzeko. In fact, he's only scored in 2 of his last 25 games, although that does include the Champions League semi-final first leg and the derby against Milan. City almost guilty of succumbing to a pretty intense press But they can work it back for Ederson, and he slams it left-footed this time. Upfield, Grealish coming to meet it, won it in the air, wasn't sure where the ball had gone after it had come off his head. The answer was down towards the touchline, and Dumfries, I thought, might have dived that time, and threw himself forward headlong, put his hands on the ball, but referee Marciniak, judge the best in the world these days, gave a free kick Inter's way, and they quickly switched it out towards the left, and then DiMarco from that position switches it back again for Dumfries on the edge of the box. 0-0. Dumfries taking a touch, working it down towards Barella. Barella back for Darmian. Brozovic with a heavy touch, forced to retrace his steps back towards halfway. Bernardo Silva chasing after the ball, but Acerbi and Bastoni can play it out towards the left, and Inter will be able to build again from that far touchline. Inzaghi's game plan has been very effective so far, been able to negate the City threat and have sights of goal themselves. A team that have developed a reputation for being real cup specialists and excelling so far tonight. 38 gone, 0-0. Brozovic back towards Barella. Barella on halfway. Brozovic deeper than that, and forced deeper still by the angle of the pass that came his way from Bastoni. Now to go back for Onana. Foden putting the pressure on. They played past him to find Brozovic. And the Inter fans appreciating what they're seeing here. Now he comes towards Barella. Barella playing on the right of the three central midfielders for Inter, but just dropping in at centre-half for a moment. Back goes for Onana. He plays it down towards Darmian. Controls a slightly awkward pass on his chest under pressure from Gundogan. Has scored in the Champions League final before, 10 years ago, when he was on the losing side for Dortmund against Bayern. Onana controlling the ball inside his penalty area again, and this time the intensity of Bernardo Silva's press has forced a goalkeeping error from him. He's kicked it straight out of play for a throw that will be taken on the City right, nearer the edge of the penalty area than the edge of the centre circle. 0-0, and here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I think Bernardo Silva's aware that his team needs some form of inspiration. He's trying to offer energy in regard to that. I think he seems to be the one that, when he does pick the ball up and drive at DiMarco is very subservient to him and backs off. So it might be worth just keep feeding him on that side of the pitch.
The referee just having a word with Acerbi. But a throw was the verdict, and it has been taken. City losing possession, then getting it back in the blink of an eye. 5.5 to go to half-time here on TalkSport. It's 0-0. Foden receiving the ball from a pass from Ruben Dias and then making a darting run forward. He gets the return pass from Bernardo Silva, then goes to ground, no foul. The referee said he went to ground of his own volition. Inter were able to bring it forward, but showed too much of it to Rodri in the midfield, and a high up and under will pump it forward, brought down awkwardly by Acerbi, whose first touch wasn't the best, and then Foden is judged to have caught him. And referee Marciniak's going to have a word and just try and calm down Phil Foden. Bernardo Silva is acting as defence counsel as well. Now Acerbi eventually will get back to his feet. It's 0-0, 4 to go to half-time. There's going to be at least 2 or 3 minutes added at the end of this first period here on TalkSport, and it hasn't gone all City's way by any manner of means.
No, at this moment in time, it's into the team that seem to be relaxed into the game, passing through the lines slightly better hold-up play as well, I would say, at the front end of their pitch. And City are struggling to sort of, certainly when City get the ball at the back, Jim, I don't see them as slick playing through the thirds and playing through the press as well as we've seen them play.
Martinez. Beat to it by Akanji, and it just needed an intervention from Ruben Dias, as it looked as though Martinez for a moment might be able to get the run on the City back line. But Manchester City can bring it away. Flick forward towards Foden. Haaland made a good early run ahead of him. Foden would have had to play the ball instantly. Haaland frustrated it didn't come. City have still got it. Grealish into Foden. Now to Rodri. Urged to shoot and thinks better of it and works wide to his left for Nathan Ake. Gundogan coming onto it. And 60 goals in Manchester City colours. Played out towards Bernardo Silva. DiMarco has Stuart explained perfectly, just subserviently backing off, allowing Bernardo Silva the opportunity to run at him, and he did so again there. But he will always show him inside when he does it. Just into that very congested area, and when City do string the passes together, they concertina up this well-drilled into back line, into a 5 to deny the space and deny any opportunity for Haaland to try and run it behind. He's only been able to do that once so far. City still have it, coming in off the right with Bernardo Silva to Rodri, Akanji, back for Ruben Dias. 3 minutes to go to half-time. As we mentioned, a fair bit of time to be added on because of the De Bruyne injury. Ake in possession now for Manchester City. Now for Jack Grealish, coming in off the left flank, trying to take on Dumfries, who has lent into him, eased him to the ground, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, 10 yards from the dead ball line, and midway between the left-hand touchline and the left-hand side of the penalty area. But Dumfries knew what he was doing there. That's an intriguing battle between those two. Should that have been a yellow card, or is just a free kick the right result, Stuart?
Just a free kick for me. He's caught Grealish, I think, with his studs, just swiped him across the back of his head as well as Grealish has gone down, certainly pulling at the shirt. But the point I'm making, it's the first time Jack Grealish has really gone and took him on, isn't it? And we've covered games recently where I've got a little bit frustrated when the wide players haven't done that, and namely Jack, he's come back inside, played safe. I think tonight is one of those games where you don't play safe. You go after the opposition and see what they're made of.
So Phil Foden will take this free kick. Actually, by the time it's been spotted down, it's almost on the left-hand touchline. He swings it in really deep. City have a man unmarked at the far post, Rodri, and as he drives it back in, it's a little double ricochet. Played it into Lautaro Martinez and then came back into the Spaniard and goes out of play for a goal kick to Inter. And the Nerazzurri supporters away to our left are waving plenty of yellow flags in evidence here. Nearly all of those bedecked in the traditional blue and black. But they're enjoying what they're seeing so far. In the 45th minute of the Champions League final, you would talk sport and it's 0-0.
Well, I think Pep will be pleased to get his team back into the changing room at 0-0. I think things have not gone to plan as would have been expected, I'm sure, and Inter certainly have won this first half on points at present.
Nana getting it forward, and Gundogan bringing it down under control, and he can flick it on. Foden got his head to it to spoon it up in the air. Haaland then on the turn tried to flick it past himself to turn and run onto, but it was too heavy a touch. Goes back to Onana. He will clear and got caught as he got the ball upfield. No foul, and then when the whistle goes, Martinez is offside, and it's going to be a free kick that will be taken by Manchester City. Onana's now back on his feet. Is the referee going to go over and see if he's okay? No, he's just had a word though in passing with Haaland and Foden. Free kick taken for the offside by City, worked into the feet of Gundogan. 2 additional minutes, all that's prescribed at the end of the first half. First half has seen Kevin De Bruyne go off injured in the Champions League final again, replaced by Phil Foden, who's in possession now for Manchester City. Just 3 attempts for City, 2 on target. Inter just the 1 on target, but they've had more sights of Ederson's goal. And possession has been a lot more even than we anticipated. 55-45 in City's favour up to this point. They've got it at the back, that possession just increasing as the half-time whistle approaches. Ederson playing it forward here for Nathan Ake. And Ake will bring it to within 10 yards of the halfway line before stabbing it with his left foot to his right-hand side for Rodri. Rodri with an excellent, well-angled ball through midfield for Stones. Now out towards Bernardo Silva. More yellow flags in evidence to our left, but Bernardo Silva bringing the ball forward towards the edge of the penalty area, then cut back out. Left-footed shot flies over the bar from Akanji. It's good 30 yards out, couldn't keep it down. Out of play for a goal kick which Onana will take as we approach the half-time whistle at 0-0.
Yeah, very little in this game. Not too many clear-cut chances for both teams, but in general play and the way Inter have settled into the game and look as though they've got just more idea playing through the thirds at the moment. I never thought I'd say that about City, but they look at a slicker outfit at present.
So what does City do to rectify that?
Well, there's a nervousness with City when they've got the ball at the back. Normally they're pretty clinical in playing through the thirds, taking the front line out of play and the press out. They're struggling with that, and there's a nervousness about their play at the moment, and probably that's emulated from Ederson.
Dumfries takes the throw. City very quickly win a free kick. Ruben Dias has gone down holding his face, and that is the half-time whistle. Well, many anticipated that it might even be done and dusted by now, but nothing could be further from the truth. Manchester City haven't been at their best, and so much credit has to go to Inter Milan for that. But it's been, by their own high standards, slightly substandard performance from City so far, and they've seen De Bruyne go off injured. Half-time, it's Manchester City 0, Inter 0.
Well, if anybody finds the real Man City, do let us know. Where has Manchester City gone? The one that swept Arsenal aside in the pursuit of the title, the one that was winning games relentlessly towards the end of the season, in the second half of the season, and sweeping aside the big guns in the Champions League as well. That Manchester City seems to have disappeared, and I think they need to rediscover themselves, Stuart Pearce. Otherwise, it could be a very difficult second half. That was not good enough from Manchester City, was it?
No, it wasn't. I think it's important we go back to Pep's early statement about 0-0 isn't the end of the world at the moment. That's the biggest plus we've got. The other side of that is City have not been slick. They've not been clinical with playing through the thirds as they normally are. And when they've got it into those wide areas, they've not asked enough questions. Inter, on the other hand, have been very calm and collected, playing out from the back. They've played little balls over the top of Silva and over the top of Grealish to get the wing-backs into play and get them turned. And from there, they built attacks. And I've got to say, been very, very impressed with Dzeko. What the simple things, the centre-forward things that he's done, I think have been very effective.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but they have been good, but they've not been too threatening, and most of the problems for City come from themselves. I mean, so sloppy. That Ederson casual pass out to Barella, who probably should have scored. I know it's from distance, but he's got to at least hit the target there. Ederson's miles out of his goal. If you're miles out of your goal and you're passing to a teammate, you've got to find your teammate in that situation, otherwise you could be one down.
Yeah, you're right. As I say, it was a very loose ball that he played out. He chipped one out of play as well. I mean, to be fair, and then he's let a ball go on the touchline that they managed to field and keep in play. But this is the Champions League. We talk about how clinical and easy it is to roll over, roll into game after game. And to be fair, they've tricked us a little bit, City. They've looked absolutely peerless over the last month, 2 months, 3 months. And tonight they've come up a team that have got their tactical approach just right. They're comfortable on the ball, and they're hurting City on occasion.
There's a couple of City players that have done well. John Stones striding out from the back, really going past players, making things happen. I've been really impressed with him. Jack Grealish giving Dumfries a battle, but there's too many City players not making good decisions. If you look at Akanji right on half-time, what's he doing shooting from 30 yards? I saw Pep Guardiola, his face there was contorted with frustration and anger that one of his players had done something so ridiculous. And then you're looking at Rodri, who's been one of the best players in the Premier League consistently, season after season. And I can't understand his performance tonight. This just doesn't seem like Manchester City.
No, and this is the beauty of football, if you like to say beauty of football. Footballers and people have emotions, you know, and sometimes your confidence gets shaken a little bit, and sometimes the opposition do their homework really well. And at this moment in time, this game looks hinged on the first goal. The first goal will probably end up finishing the game 1-0, the way things are looking at the moment. So it's so vital that it's Manchester City that get that first goal.
I think City need to smarten up. That intense inter-press is proving a problem for them. They need to get better going forward, choose better passes, make better decisions in possession as well. And Stuart, a quick one on the two managers as well, because you pointed out that Pep Guardiola saying relax halfway through the first half. He told his players to calm down. His palms were facing the ground, and he was just basically saying calm down. And then I look at Inzaghi, and it was like he was a left winger for City at times. He was tearing down the touchline, miles out of his technical area. And by the way, the technical area is a massive so there's no need to go out of them. He was down near the corner flag at times, coaching his players, really getting on top of them, not having a go at them, but encouraging them and ramming home the message that he was giving them. So calm down from Pep, real intense from Inzaghi. That doesn't bode well from where I'm looking. I think Pep needs to get into him at half-time.
Well, listen, Inzaghi will be delighted the way his team's approached this game and quietened City down and knocked them out their stride. And from Pep's point of view, you know, he's driven to win this trophy. He would have set his team up. He would have seen such great highs over the last 2 months or so. And all of a sudden, when it, I wouldn't say it really counts because they've got the Premier League and the FA Cup in the bag. When it counts for the big trophy, let's say, his team have looked a little bit nervous and unsure about what they're trying to achieve.
That's exactly right. Something has to change for Manchester City in the second half. And remember what Pep said yesterday, that no panic if it's 0-0. That doesn't mean Inter are winning. That's not a bad scoreline for Manchester City. That's not like we're losing. Well, that's exactly what it is at the moment. Manchester City 0, Inter 0. But with Kevin De Bruyne off injured for the second Champions League final running, it's advantage Inter right now. Live on TalkSport at the Ataturk Stadium.
Champions League live on TalkSport with Till, the payment provider from NatWest. See if you could save with simple fees for businesses. Till by NatWest. Tomorrow begins today. Fees, T's and C's and eligibility criteria apply.
What do you get when you mix fashion designers, financial advisors, and dance studio? No, not a catwalk of strutting accountants. No, not a ballet piece about balance sheets. I'm actually just talking about Workspace. With 4,000 of London's most original businesses already calling Workspace home, whatever it is you do, there's a space for you here. It all happens at Workspace. Search workspace.co.uk.
Brenda said to me, and I'll never forget these words, she said, Jess, if ever I'm found dead and it looks like suicide, don't believe it.
Dr. Brenda Page, a brilliant scientist, was brutally murdered in Aberdeen in 1978. I'm journalist Ruth Warrender, and I can finally reveal the truth behind Brenda's murder in a brand new podcast, Murder in the Granite City, wherever you get your podcasts.
See mcdonalds.com for opening times.
Test Drive Treats is now on at Arnold Clark. Test drive any car this weekend and we'll give you a £30 restaurant voucher for free. Choose from over 1,600 restaurants, including Miller and Carter, Toby Carvery, All Bar One and Harvester. From cosy country pubs to smart city bistros, there's one to suit every taste. Test Drive Treats is now on. See arnoldclark.com.
Protect your devices with one of the UK's most trusted cybersecurity solutions, rated excellent on Trustpilot. ESET Digital Security. Progress protected.
The Army's artificial intelligence defeats over 1,800 cyber attacks every month. But only a soldier can spot new forms of attack. Like the beeps your brain's noticing right now. As you subconsciously scan for patterns. Until you know you've found something. Nothing can do what a soldier can do. Army, recruiting now. Search Army jobs.
Does your broadband slither around your home? And at peak times, do things feel a little constricted? Well, not when you get full fiber broadband from EE. You get the peak time speeds you pay for. Count on EE, full fiber broadband, powered by BT.
Limited availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk/coverage.
On AM, on DAB, on the app, and on your smart speaker. The UEFA Champions League final. Manchester City versus Inter Milan. Live on TalkSport.
Well, back here at the Ataturk Stadium, noisy still inside this ground, but 0-0, no goals as yet. It's been cagey. Man City 0, Inter Milan 0. After Boris Johnson sensationally quit as an MP yesterday, what next for the former Prime Minister? Join the conversation over on Talk Radio. You can listen on DAB Radio. Download their free app or ask your Alexa to play Talk Radio. Let's get the halftime odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Nicola McGeady from Ladbrokes. I actually did say on air yesterday, I thought it'd be 0-0 at half-time, but I thought City might be a little bit better than this. I thought they might be having chances and had just missed them. That's not really happened. So 0-0 at half-time, what do we reckon?
Yeah, well, Adrian, to be fair, neither team are actually notorious for goals in the first half. So fingers crossed it is all to come. But it hasn't quite gone as expected. City's going to be frustrated. Inter really have surprised us. They've knocked City off their stride with this robust performance that they're putting in. City, they don't look like the team, that we've seen throughout the Champions League. Are the nerves getting to them? The match betting hasn't changed much. Inter Milan are still 11-2, and there are punters that are more interested in that now for sure. City are 20-21, and the draw is 29-20. The odds on lifting the trophy for Inter, they have shortened. It's 11-5 about them doing it now. City are still, though, the red-hot favourites at 4-11. And Haaland, he's 11-5 to score the first goal of the match.
Nicola, thank you very much. That was the latest odds with Ladbrokes. Play at ladbrokes.com, 18+, begambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Are you in? Let's go. Play at ladbrokes.com, 18+, begambleaware.org.
Don't forget, Alexander Zinchenko is on TalkSport Breakfast, 6 a.m. Monday morning with Laura and Ali. If you like a bit of music, Virgin Radio. If you're leaving Radio 2, what about Virgin Radio, the home of Chris Evans, Graham Norton of the weekends, Ricky Wilson on Drive. Listen on DAB, your smart speaker, or download the app. Chris Evans back 6:30 Monday morning on Virgin Radio. There's been quite a number of transfer stories today, and our transfer god, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, has finally made his way into the stadium here at the Ataturk. Everything okay after that difficult journey?
We got here in the end, eh?
Just about got here. It sounded bad, but...
Have City turned up yet, by the way?
No, they're due out in the second half. I said last night, on air, you may remember, 0-0 at half-time, 4-0 at full-time, so it's going to be a great second half. Let's see if that happens. Let's start with Aston Villa. A couple of players on their way, maybe.
Yeah, Yuri Tielemans, I think, has now been officially confirmed by the club. No real surprise. We learnt a week ago that Villa was Tielemans' most likely destination after his release by Leicester. He was really disappointing for Leicester, Tielemans. I think they can rightly, Fox's fans, feel a bit aggrieved with his performances this season, but who knows, he might get back to his best at Villa Park. And
can I just say, his goal in the FA Cup final was the winner, and it's worth it alone.
Yeah.
I'll forgive him a duff season.
True, but they are in the Championship, so there will be Leicester fans who will feel let down by that. And the other player they're interested in, as I understand it, is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at Liverpool, of course. He's a free agent. I'm told that talks were held between him and Villa earlier this week, and that's a move that could well happen. We'll keep an eye on that one.
What about João Palhinha? You mentioned this last night, the Fulham midfielder. I think he had a terrific season. A walking yellow card, but in centre mid, that's going to happen.
Yeah, what I've subsequently found out is that he does have a release clause in his Fulham contract, so if West Ham were to trigger that, then Fulham would be powerless to stop him leaving. I think he'd be a great signing.
Can I just stop
for West
there?
Ham?
I'm told that Tony Khan at Fulham has responded to a TalkSport tweet suggesting he had a release clause by saying there is no release clause.
I was told on very good authority there's a release clause.
Interesting.
So could be some mind games being played there.
Yeah, that is interesting. But going to West Ham, and obviously we're talking about Declan Rice leaving, João Palhinha coming in, yeah?
Yeah, and it won't just be Palhinha because they're going to get big money for Declan Rice. I think probably Palhinha, £40 million would be enough to get him. So that's one player replacing Rice. I think Stuart said with us last night you probably need 2 or 3 players to come in and replace Declan. We know that Alvarez at Ajax is a potential candidate as well. I think it's going to be busy for West Ham. What we do know now, it looks like David Moyes will stay. He's held talks with the owners. He's won that European trophy. Didn't look the case halfway through the season, but looks like he will at least see out the last year of his contract.
And news about William Saliba. There's been all these contracts been done by Arsenal. The fans have been waiting for news on Saliba, and it looks like he's turning down the opportunity to win big trophies, yeah?
Yeah, the longer this went on, the more worried Arsenal fans became, because I think there was genuine interest from Real Madrid. But it looks like he's going to pledge his future. He's reached an agreement in principle, not signed on the dotted line yet, but Arsenal expect him to. And they've got a lot of their big players tied down now, haven't they? Bukayo Saka, Aaron Ramsdale. They're in talks with Martin Ødegaard about extending his deal as well. Martinelli signed a new deal earlier in the season, so he's really building a squad for the long haul, Mikel Arteta.
You know what, I get all of that, and obviously it's great news. I'm being facetious, but it's great news for Arsenal. But that's the kind of money that is huge, and means you have to qualify for Champions League season after season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if they don't qualify for the Champions League, that interest from Real Madrid will still be there, and contract or no contract, Saliba will then probably start agitating for a move.
Interesting. Alex, thank you very much. Players are making their way out of the dressing rooms and into the tunnel. They'll be back on the pitch very shortly. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m, it gets underway, our coverage of Soccer Aid at Old Trafford, and England 11 against the Soccer Aid World 11. Faye Carruthers will be your host for that. We've got commentary of that game tomorrow evening, and do check out Andy Goldstein's goal on Instagram. Otherwise, he will never let you forget it. He's back on Drive on Monday afternoon with Darren Bent, 4 o'clock, and assuming City get better and win this in the second half, Noel Gallagher will join them as well, live from the States where he's on tour with the High Flying Birds. And next weekend, it's international football. This is a season that never ends. It's TalkSport, powered by fans and powered by non-stop live football. We'll be heading off to Malta in June. What could possibly be better? Malta, England, Friday night, live on TalkSport. It's a Euro 2024 qualifier. England 6 points from their opening 2 games, and arguably 2 of the toughest games they'll have in the group as well. So barring a disaster, England have effectively qualified already. They can get the job done by beating Malta and winning the rest as well. And a week Monday, England against North Macedonia is another one we've got on Monday evening. It's live from Old Trafford on TalkSport. And we've got the other home nations covered as well. Scotland away to Norway, Saturday, 5 p.m, TalkSport 2. Charlie Adam on commentary duty for that. And a week on Monday, Turkey take on Wales in another Euro qualifier. That's on TalkSport 2. And the former Welsh international, Dave Edwards, is on commentary duty for that. Simple, the Champions League final here at the Ataturk Stadium in Istanbul, live on TalkSport. Manchester City simply need to get better in the second half. It wasn't good enough in the first half. And as we wait for City to come out, Stuart Pearce, a quick word on Phil Foden, who's come on for Kevin De Bruyne, who's off injured, sadly. Phil Foden wants to be a number 10, so now's his opportunity, surely.
Well, he's certainly gone on in that position, and this game is crying out for someone in a City shirt to grab hold of the game and do something a little bit special to get his team in the ascendancy. Now, with Phil, there's a lot been said. The fans here absolutely love him through the academy, and the stage is set. Hopefully he can be the one to do something.
Now is your time, Phil Foden, or any Manchester City player. It is City 0, Inter Milan 0, as we get set for the second half at the Ataturk Stadium, live on TalkSport tonight. Your commentary team, the former England captain Stuart Pearce, alongside Jim Proudfoot.
Well, it would have been a very interesting half-time discussion in the Manchester City dressing room. They're out for the second half. Ederson in goal, Akanji, Diaz and Ake, Stones and Rodri, Silva, Foden, Gundogan and Grealish, and Haaland into Onana in goal, Darmian, Acerbi and Bastoni, Barella, Brozovic and Çalhanoğlu in midfield, Di Marco and Dumfries as wing-backs, and Martinez and Edin Dzeko leading the line. And we're back underway. The second half of the Champions League final, live from the Ataturk in Istanbul on TalkSport with Stuart Pearce alongside me. Here's Acerbi in possession, and he'll clear right-footed down by his own corner flag. Brozovic can then help it further clear. Ake turning it back forward. Brozovic speaking to it in the midfield battle. Dzeko has done very well, got the ball to sit and works it up the right-hand touchline, looking for Martinez. That City can smuggle it back for Ederson. He really has caught the eye of Dzeko.
Well, the ball's just been pinged up to him, as you rightly said there, Jim, and it was a really difficult one to take. He's manipulated the ball and stuck a ball down the channel for his teammate really well. I think he's done so well tonight, using all his experience. And just the contrast in difference just straight then. The ball's come up to Haaland, and the central defender's gone beyond him to receive the ball and field the ball for Inter, and Haaland's not held it up for the team.
He's in his 38th year now, Edin Dzeko. A lot of miles on the clock. It's his 799th game in club football, but he has been exceptional so far. It's John Stones for Manchester City. To Rodri. Now played forward towards Nathan Ake with 90 seconds into the second half here on TalkSport. 2023 Champions League final. Silver City fans making a fine noise away to our right-hand side. Diaz in possession here. Back for Akanji. Akanji down towards Bernardo Silva, who's just tried to flight it forward, left-footed on the turn, and then there's a yelp of pain from DeMarco as the ball comes back to him and Silva. Silva's able to bring it forward. Now the referee gave himself some thinking time, but with DeMarco still lying spread eagle on the ground, play stops, even though Manchester City were in good possession. I don't know whether there was a suggestion it was a head injury, in which case it is an obligatory stoppage of play. The replay will show us it isn't a head injury and play should have been allowed to continue. I say it isn't a head injury. You could possibly take the word head out of that statement as well. But he's all right, though. He's back on his feet without the need for treatment. We're 2.5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see City's tactical approach a little bit here. Straight from the kick-off, they've ended up pushing everyone up and tossing the ball up to Haaland's head, you know. And I don't know whether Pep's going to suggest to his team, look, we're not playing particularly well through the thirds. Can we be a little bit more direct, potentially, and turn the ball over in the mid-band and start our creative work from there?
Edison's got the ball at his feet and just plays it forward towards Ruben Diaz. Diaz 10 yards outside his own penalty area. Back for Edison, and Edison does mix it up with a longer ball play forward. Haaland going up for it again, but was beaten in the air by Bastoni. Brozovic can get his foot on the ball. Brozovic, who may well be playing in Croatia's Nations League campaign, certainly in the squad for that tournament. They're involved against the Netherlands on Wednesday, and then the final is next Sunday. Akanji comes across to deal with another long ball play forward, this one towards Dzeko. Dzeko's mere presence has won into a throw.
Yeah, a great point there, Jim, and that's been the difference at the moment. You know, if there's a direct comparison between the current centre forward for Manchester City in this match and the past one in Dzeko, Dzeko's caused big problems, and he struck a little bit of fear into the back line of Akanji and Stones and Diaz, and his hold-up play's been outstanding. What they need from Haaland is just get hold of the ball, be a real pest and run around and just put some pressure on the back line if you can.
Well, it may well be that they've told Dzeko, look, just give us 70 minutes and we'll bring Lukaku on to replace you, but don't leave anything out there. Give us everything you've got in 70 minutes. And he's running around, certainly not like a 37-year-old, more like a 27-year-old. It's been one of his finest performances that I've seen for a while. Ball out of play for a throw, which will be taken over on the Inter right-hand side. And no discernible change, really, to the pattern of play in this second half. Aside from the fact, as Stuart mentioned, that Inter will be going a little bit longer. It's a mistake from Bernardo's played out of his own penalty area, just into a neutral part of the ground. Bernardo Silva's got it, but he couldn't make anything of it. And Inter are going to be able to clear more effectively from outside their box this time. And DeMarco will send the ball down the line. But both goalkeepers have shown they've got an error in them when the ball is at their feet. Yeah, at the moment, both of them are trying to portray an air of calm and, sadly, giving the ball away for their relative teams. Ake. Down towards Diaz. Diaz near the edge of the centre circle. But again, every player, with the exception of Edison, is inside Inter territory. 0-0 here in the Champions League final. Gundogan to Diaz. Play forward again, sliding challenge, won back by Gundogan after his initial ball had not found the target, and then he was lent into very strongly by Çalhanoğlu. And a free kick has gone City's way, and he's still down, actually. İlkay Gundogan on the far side. The last 3 Champions League finals have all been won by the first goal. And there's certainly a sense that 1-0 either way could be the scoreline at the end of 90 minutes here as well today. Certainly wouldn't bet against them.
I'd say at this moment in time, Jim, I'm not seeing where a goal's coming from, to be honest with you, from either team, if I'm being fair. There's some reasonable play, reasonable build-up, but neither team are causing big problems for either defence or certainly peppering the goal.
Well, it's a Manchester City performance, irrespective of what happens from here, whether they are able to make glorious and illustrious history or not. that will take some dissecting, and you can do that after us on the Sports Bar tonight with Adam Catterall and Jason Cundy taking your calls. We'll also have all the reaction from here as well. Alex Crook speaking to Pep and to the headline makers as well. Inter will be able to bring it forward after another turnover of possession. Gundogan, well, judged to have won it back cleanly. I'm far from convinced that he did. I thought he stopped a counter-attack there, quite cynically, but the referee allowed play to go on. City now get a free kick of their own upfield, and the recriminations to referee Marciniak will start. Darmian is being called over, having given the free kick away for the foul on Grealish. Well, was it a foul on Lautaro Martinez from Gundogan upfield?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think he probably has taken, gone through his sort of top of his thigh, if you like, you know. But they certainly emphasised the point that there was a foul. The referee's done reasonably well tonight, I think, Jim, you know, in a game that if you do let things go, anything can happen in the modern day game.
So City for the free kick. Grealish runs over it. It's fired in left-footed, way too deep. And it'll go for the left-hand touchline down towards the right-hand corner flag, and Akanji couldn't keep it in there. And it goes out for a throw that'll be taken by Inter. And there just hasn't been the necessary precision from Manchester City. It was Foden on that occasion, and he said it about 30% harder than he needed to.
Yeah, as I say, it was a really poor ball into the box, and it just might take a set play to tip the balance in City's favour. And if you don't deliver it into the correct area, it wasn't just a near miss, was it? It was way off, and we've seen that a couple of times. De Bruyne, before he went off, with a couple of poor crosses that went either too far or behind the goal.
John Stones in that midfield role that is now customary for him, riding a couple of challenges and then diverting the ball back inside his own half for Ruben Diaz. Ake, Rodri, space here for Stones, coming forward, gets round one, gets to the edge of the penalty area, lays it off here for Gundogan. It was great play that by Stones. Gundogan doing well to turn it out towards Grealish. Didn't get enough height on his cross. Akanji was a vital volley away. Everybody got drawn towards the ball. Lukaku making his way through. Martinez had just dropped off. And had Akanji not been able to volley that cross away, Martinez would have been in. It's been, I'm sorry, Stuart, a better, marginally better performance from City in the second half, perhaps in some facets of play, but there's not much in it. They still haven't got themselves going as yet. And defensively, they don't look inscrutable.
No, they certainly don't. They've been flustered at the back. There's no doubt about that. And when the ball went out wide to Dumfries, he really should have took a touch. He's put the ball in too early when there was an overload in the box. A more accurate pass would have been the better option.
Ake has possession for Manchester City. Finds Stones. There is a sense that City are playing not just Inter, but the sense of occasion as well. in possession. Played down to Bernardo Silva, who controls it. Zaghi still cutting such an animated figure on the near touchline, kicking every ball. Oh, terrible mistake. Lautaro Martinez is inside the penalty area, and Ederson has come out and spared Akanji's blushes. And Bernardo Silva will be able to clear. The ball was played back towards Akanji. He thought it was hit stronger than it was, that he was going to go through to his goalkeeper. Never stood any chance of getting there. But Lautaro Martinez from a tight angle couldn't do anything with it. Now Foden makes his way forward and is fouled 5 yards outside the penalty area. City with a free kick in a really good area. Foden caught just on the left ankle and is far from happy about Beretta's challenge, which has earned him a yellow card. But he should be 1-0 to Inter.
I mean, I've never seen this from City before. A lot of the staff are up. Cole Walker's up, offering a cheerleader in, trying to get the players up for the occasion. 3 of the defenders have gone back and said to Ederson, well done, you've kept us in the game then. But there's certainly an element of nerves that's emulating straight through the core of this Manchester City lineup. And well, it's probably arguably the worst performance we've seen from them, certainly for the last 2 or 3 months, Jim.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. No sense of timing, unfortunately, from a City perspective. They have only failed to score in one of their matches since February, which was the defeat at Brentford. What will they be able to do here to extend that run and give themselves the advantage in the Champions League final? Free kick. Knocked short by Grealish. In from Gundogan, headed towards goal, but over the bar. And it was Ruben Dias that climbed, but difficult chance for him about 14 yards out. Couldn't get the header to dip. And Nana could wave it goodbye, and it's out of play. We've got to the hour mark. 0-0 the score here on TalkSport. Stuart Pearce.
I'm going to ask you a question now, Jim. They talk about the depth of Manchester City's squad. Now, they're in a situation where they've near enough got everyone fully fit. Where'd you go to make a change within this lineup? Because at the moment they've made the change, forced error, forced on them, Foden coming on. But you're looking and saying, is there a wealth of players that can come off the bench and really influence the game?
Well, I think a change that potentially could happen would be the withdrawal of Grealish and Alvarez coming on and moving Foden out into a wider position. Although Grealish beautifully, right on cue, takes the ball and slips it off, and Stones, his touch was too heavy and it rolls away. I think you could also make a case, if he's genuinely fit, for bringing Walker on for Akanji, because Akanji on the right-hand side of the centre-halves has struggled. I think he's a fine player, he's done well on the left, but he's just looked a fish out of water tonight, and it's not a role that he's not used to. I mentioned earlier they've got an outstanding record. They've won 7 out of 9 when they play with this configuration of centre-halves this season. Here's Haaland, bring the ball forward here for City, and then he's tried to, a little bit too hard, to fashion a ball out towards Grealish and has missed him. And Inter will bring it away. It is almost panic-stricken from Manchester City.
It is. I mean, Pep must be thinking he's sort of in a car, heading towards a car crash, and almost nothing he can do about it at this moment in time. As I say, City look shell-shocked. I think Walker, not being in the lineup has cost them a little bit, both defensively and certainly that element of pace to drive up and down to free space up for others.
Riyad Mahrez, another player that might come into the mix, although Silva's had an outstanding season. You would imagine that he'd be reluctant to take him off. He's a manager that's reluctant to make too many changes anyway, really, forced into the one in the first half. Ball is out of play for a throw that Silva has taken. And he's worked it back for Stones. Stones to Ruben Dias, now forward for Ake, with 62 minutes in here on TalkSport. Ake playing it forward for Foden, and then Haaland made a run, and they just couldn't get the ball between the two centre-halves to find him. It was a close run thing. It was the right pass that was played, just too close to Acerbi. Inter will bring it forward now with Brozovic. Brozovic to Martinez, who played a first-time ball behind DiMarco, but he had time, the left wing-back for Inter, to rescue it. And it comes for Brozovic again. Barella towards the edge of the penalty area. Marcelo Brozovic, 300 Inter games behind him. The captain slowing things down to the left for Bastoni, the centre half, in a wider position, fired in by Barella, headed away by Gundogan, back in from Lukaku. DiMarco is lurking with intent. Diaz beat him in the air against a much shorter opponent, and Ake will be able to clear. 4 from him towards halfway, but it's just bounced off Haaland. City able to win the second so significantly. Now, can they do something with this? They'll bring it forward and find Bernardo Silva. Silva has got Stones making a gallivanting run to his right-hand side. Here is Stones with a low ball in towards the near post, deflected away by Bastoni for Manchester City's first corner of the game.
Well, good interchange there, and John Stones, I mean, he's covering mile after mile trying to make something happen for his team. Credit to him on that, but as we go at the moment, neither team have opened up any clear-cut opportunity at either end, to be honest.
Jack Grealish will take this corner. 64 minutes gone, and it's 0-0. So Grealish preparing to take it. Haaland stands inside the 6-yard box. Referee Marciniak has said don't take the corner yet because he wants a word with Stones, who is being watched very carefully by Bastoni around the edge of the penalty area. Stones trying to extricate himself from Bastoni's grip. That's been calmed down. Now the corner can be taken deep from Grealish, headed back, and the referee spotted some pushing and shoving before the ball got to the edge of the penalty area, and the free kick has been given Inter's way, and Stones and Brozovic just have a few words with each other. It's going to be a free kick. So now Stones and Bastoni just having a few words with each other. The referee can't really see.
There's holding in, we're just watching the replay of that. 3 Manchester City players are being held there, and the referee decides to give a free kick in the opposite direction.
Those are the incidents that VAR should be looking at, irrespective of which penalty area it's in. That's what they're trying to clamp down on. But nothing given, and the free kick seemingly on that occasion was given the wrong way.
I think sometimes you've got to, when you think things are not going well for your team, in City's case, you've got to look at the other side of things and say, well, hang on a minute, the opposition haven't scored against us, we're not having attempt after attempt on our goal, so there is no panic here.
And it goes back to that comment that Pep made in this press conference yesterday, which has proved to be so prophetic, that at 0-0, Inter will feel like they're winning, and we mustn't feel like we're losing. Those were the words that he used. Well, okay, the proof is in the pudding for them. They've got to make sure that they don't let the heads drop, that this is more difficult perhaps than they anticipated. Maybe it isn't, but they're not finding the cutting edge. They've only had 2 attempts on target, but the bottom line is they're not behind. And potentially there's still 55 minutes of football before this goes to a penalty shootout. We're approaching the midway stage of the second half of regulation time in the 2023 Champions League final. You're with TalkSport, and it's still 0-0. Ball play for Haaland, can't get away from a Cherby. Might be able to now on the turn, trying to play it in to his right-hand side for Foden's run, and it's clear. Lukaku can't hold it up as nearly as effectively as Dzeko was before he went off injured. And City will be able to win it back and bring it forward again with Bernardo Silva.
To say it's that influence as Dzeko, keep holding the ball up, bringing his team into it. It's not been the same with Lukaku, even in this short space of time, and that's good for City.
Yeah, as you anticipated, he just hasn't been anything like as effective a leader of the line or foil for Lautaro Martinez up to this point. City with a Kanji down to Bernardo Silva. Silva shown inside again by DiMarco, and he's almost in the central position. Oh, it's a lovely turn and a little flick back. Rodri with a pass that wasn't measured accurately for Ake, but it does go out towards Grealish. Grealish firing it in. Foden with a good leap, but he couldn't get goals out of Brozovic. Gundogan will try and take it on, and he takes it down towards the dead ball line. Back it comes here for Phil Foden. Foden away from Rodri to play in Akanji. Akanji 25 yards out, slips it through. It's Bernardo Silva back in, and on the edge of the area it's volleyed in, and Manchester City lead. It's Rodri with a goal that could be one of the most historic in Manchester City's long, storied history. From the edge of the penalty area, Rodri coming onto it, firing it into the bottom right-hand corner. Sometimes you don't have to be good. Sometimes you've just got to get the job done. And it might be that night tonight for Manchester City. A goal when they most needed it. And all of a sudden, they're 22 minutes away from winning the treble.
Yeah, they've been flat as a pancake, if truth be known. But when that man Silva burst into the box and pulled one back, it got a good deflection for City. And I'll tell you what, Rodri come onto it. It's easy to panic and overdo it. He guided it round two defenders with a bit of curl. Goalkeeper unsighted, no chance. And that's exactly what City needed.
Well, he scored against Bayern in the Champions League quarter-final. That is only the fourth goal that he scored all season. It is of immense magnitude. I think Manchester City 1, Inter 0.
This will hurt Inter. They'll think they've been in this game and probably been the better side in this game. But that's the nature of football. City have been in this position on many an occasion and been the better side and not got the result. Hopefully tonight, that little bit of luck in their favour. The ball dropping at the right place on the edge of the box and a composed finish.
Well, Cherby has been fouled and Inter have a free kick 15 yards outside their own half. And it has just been a question for Manchester City of trying to grind something out. The goal coming with only their third attempt on target of the night. Now, what will Inter's response be? Play forward towards Lautaro Martinez, down towards Di Marco. Lukaku is in there, but Stones clears it before it gets to him. Brozovic, down towards Di Marco again. Brozovic once more, right-footed ball in, which is flicked high off the head of Çalhanoğlu. Out back into the fray, Lukaku, Di Marco, looping header, hits the bar, another header, might even have hit Lukaku. And somehow, Manchester City survive. Their name might be on this. The ball coming from one Di Marco header onto the bar. The ricochet coming back to him, and he's headed it towards goal, and it's hit his teammate. Yeah. And Lukaku's done the defending on Manchester City's behalf, and the lead remains intact.
Well, sometimes you've just got to do that, toss the ball in the box, see what happens, and it was carnage in the box. And Di Marco, he's thrown his whole body at the ball from about 5 yards out, and Lukaku just couldn't get his big levers out the way of the ball. And as you say, well, to be fair, beyond him was Diaz, so Diaz might have got something on it, but sometimes it plays to be fortunate rather than good. And City at this moment in time have got their nose in front in this game, and Pep needs to get them over the line if he can.
Well, there have been three separate occasions this season when Inter have gone behind in a Champions League tie. They've come back to get one draw in those three games. City, for their part in all competitions this season, have won 38 of the 46 matches in which they've taken a 1-0 lead. They have not been good tonight, but this is a night that's all about the result. Don't worry about the performance. If City can hang on here, then all the record books will show is that they've won the treble. Kyle Walker is ready to be introduced, and he'll be coming on shortly for Akanji, who's been down receiving treatment, and now he's been told by the referee to get off the field. Hasn't been given permission to come back on. He will be given permission to come back on in a moment, and then in the next break in play, City will make the change and Walker will come on. You would imagine for Akanji, but not necessarily. And Stones has just dropped that little bit deeper now that City have the advantage. It's more of an orthodox back four, possibly just in this phase of play. Here's Brozovic for Inter, not far outside their own penalty area. And he's laid it back for Onana, who will clear. Now coming to meet it, Lautaro Martinez, and he's played it in towards Lukaku. And Lukaku inside the box with a shot that took a deflection, but it didn't spin it wide of Ederson, who can get down and gratefully make a save. That was 17 minutes to go. It's 1-0 to Manchester City on TalkSport.
Well, you can't help thinking, Jim, if this game stays 1-0, which I think it will do, there's going to be some nervous moments between now and the end of play. And I think Walker coming on is certainly a step in the right direction to try and shore things up a touch.
Kanji playing it forward. It's clear to the back by Cherby to find Bastoni. Bastoni to Çalhanoğlu. Now DiMarco can receive it and work it down the left-hand touchline. Well, Bastoni just for a moment had the run on his man. And I thought that potentially Bastoni had a case there as he went down, and Rodri was the man that made the challenge. City again a little bit fractious in the midfield, giving the ball away, looking flustered at times. And Inter have won it back and work it back inside their own half. Remember, you can react to a potentially historic night to Manchester City's result and performance on the Sports Bar. After us with Adam Catterall and Jason Cundy taking your calls. And we'll also hear from the heroes. Alex Crook, our football correspondent, bring you all the reaction from here in Istanbul. More reaction Monday. Laura Woods returning with Rangers legend Ali McCoist from 6 a.m. on Monday. Or if you fancy something different on your morning commute, you can check out Chris Evans' breakfast show weekdays from 6:30 a.m. on Virgin Radio via DAB or download the app. Stones plays it down towards Bernardo Silva. There'll be 3 changes in the next break in play. Walker for City and 2 changes in the pipeline for Inter. Silva, under pressure from DiMarco, was just pulled back. And DiMarco punches the ball away in frustration at the decision that's gone against him. I think the referee, and knowing how high the stakes are, will just show a little bit of leniency to that dissent. City will be the first to make a change. It's Walker for Akanji.
Yeah. And I think Pep's just checking on John Stones. I think they were going to bring someone else off, and they've just changed their mind because John Stones is bent, doubled over at present.
Well, it was Akanji's number that came up. He hasn't left the field yet. He hasn't got over to the touchline, and so they put it on hold in the nick of time. They just can assess Stones over the next minute or so. But Inter are going to make a double change. Bastoni's coming off and will be replaced by the German defender Robbie Gosens. And Dumfries will come off to be replaced by Raul Bellanova, the wing-back on loan from Cagliari, who's been a perennial substitute this season. So Bellanova comes on for Dumfries. Now he can play on either side, Bellanova, but he's going to take Dumfries' position, seemingly, on the right-hand side of the back 5. And Gosens will play on the left. İlkay Gündoğan standing over this free kick after the foul by DiMarco. Second goal for Manchester City, and surely they've done it. Ball swung inside the penalty area, easily headed away. Comes back outside the box for Grealish. Grealish back for Bernardo Silva. Now to İlkay Gündoğan again. Ake. 5 yards in from the left-hand touchline. Played out towards Phil Foden. Foden controlling the ball, leaving it for Grealish. Grealish coming inside. Back he goes towards Akanji, still on for now. Down towards Bernardo Silva. City stretching the play laterally across the pitch from left to right. Silva's got it. Back from him to Akanji. Akanji working it back inside his own half for Ruben Dias to Nathan Ake, who lets the ball run across him before bringing it under control. Gündoğan. Another heavy challenge coming in on Jack Grealish. It's a lovely turn that from Foden. Foden! And the goalkeeper was able to dive to his left to make a save. Haaland went down. He's claiming a penalty. I don't know whether the VAR, Thomas Kwiatkowski, is going to be looking at it. But Foden with a glorious chance. Couldn't divert it either side of the Nana to make it 2.
I've got to say, magnificent talent by Foden. Received it, and all in one movement, turned, drove into the box. And I think Onana almost read him and decided, look, I'm going down to my left-hand side, and dealt with the ball. Probably Foden should have put his head down, put his laces through it, and offered it as much violence as humanly possible.
Scored 15 goals this season, Phil Foden. If he could have made it 16 there, Manchester City surely will be celebrating the treble in about 15 minutes' time. We've got 12 minutes of normal time to go. Akanji down towards Stones. Kyle Walker has got a pink bib back on now. Stones, and the injury for him would be a blow for Gareth Southgate ahead of the England games coming up. Malta away next Friday night, live from Takali National Stadium outside Valletta on TalkSport, and then England in action at Old Trafford a week Monday at home to North Macedonia. Both those games here on TalkSport. Both kick off at 7:45. Çalhanoğlu in the midfield, laying it back for DeMarco. It's Manchester City 1, Inter 0. Lukaku flicking it on. It's a really good flick on as well. Out towards the far touchline. Right-footed ball comes in from the substitute. Ballinova's cross is deflected away and goes out of play for an Inter corner. It's only their second of the game.
Yeah, really good play there by Inter. Worked it out wide, but Grealish was back doing his defensive work. And City now, what they've got to do is keep giving the ball to the architects who keep the ball. Out to Silva, out to Grealish, into Foden. Keep possession of the ball and starve Inter of it. They don't have to go forward, just starve them of the ball.
11 minutes to go. In comes the corner. Haaland heads it away. Brozovic in central position, 30 yards out. Can't get a shot in. He can find Barella. And towards the right-hand side again. A low fizzing cross is half blocked. And then when he comes back in, it's hit with plenty of swerve. But Barella's effort goes over the bar and wide and out of play for a goal kick. And you can see from here, Ederson exhaling, puffing the cheeks out. City are 10 minutes away.
Yeah, listen, they've done their work, City, at the moment. They've been not at their best by a million miles, to be quite honest with you. You can't look through the ranks and say there's too many that have hit the 8s and 9s out of 10 that we've seen of recent times. But at this moment, they would take that 1-0 with the opportunity of starving Inter of the ball.
Stone sends a long diagonal out towards the Manchester City left. Grealish didn't win it initially, does the next phase of play, slips it in. Foden looking for Haaland. Worked his square, couldn't find him. Then a great sliding challenge inside the area, wins it back. Bernardo Silva will take it on here for Manchester City. Buzzing down towards the corner flag. It was fouled by Brozovic, who might get a yellow card for that. The referee raced over and put his hand down towards his pocket, but didn't actually produce the caution. There will be a free kick which will be taken by City on the right-hand side, and another opportunity just to run a few seconds off the clock.
If I'm a Manchester City player now, Jim, all I do is give the ball to Silva. He's magnificent at keeping the ball. He knows the right things to do at the right times, and that will be key to this game and seeing the game out. There's no need to go forward. Just keep the ball, keep rotating it around the back.
Bernardo Silva takes the free kick, delivered deep, not deep enough to clear Onana. City have a player down inside the penalty area, and Haaland's making that point to Onana and trying to stop him throwing it out, so that whatever treatment.
Yeah, John Stones, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say he's having his shirt pulled, because the camera has just shown his shirt, and it's got it's no exaggeration, 24-inch gash in it.
Yeah, right down the side,
seam,
from armpit down to sort of mid-band. And I think we're just about to look at the replay and see exactly what's happened there. I think it's Goshen's got hold of his shirt. Oh, I don't know, he's just sort of almost fell out, actually.
The rip is there. It certainly didn't look as though it was a penalty for all of that. Walker is going to come on now, and is it going to be Stones that he will replace? It is. So Walker for Stones, who leaves the field. He has had a tremendous campaign. Not necessarily been at his best tonight, but he's had a brilliant season. Ederson almost carried the ball outside his penalty area as a long ball came from Onana. Ederson came to the right-hand edge of the box, and not the perfect angle to judge exactly where his hands were in relation to the near side of the penalty area. It must have been close to him getting his hands to it when the ball, his feet were in the box, but his hands may well not have been anyway. The referee waved the appeals away. A long ball punted forward from Ederson's taken a deflection off an Inter player and goes out of play for a Manchester City throw. 7.5 minutes to go. And it's Manchester City 1, Inter 0. Rodri, the man who's potentially won the Champions League for Manchester City. Haaland going for the ball, but there was a foul before he got to him by Lukaku, and he's in the book. The second player to have his name taken tonight, and another Manchester City free kick inside into territory.
Yeah, I think City, this is City's game plan now. Keep the ball, no need to go forward at every occasion. They've got a free kick out wide. For me, I wouldn't load the box up. I would keep it, rotate it round the back, and get it into the feet of people like Silva, who you know can look after the ball.
More changes. Mkhitaryan coming on for Çalhanoğlu. And they're also going to be bringing D'Ambrosio on for Darmian. It's Henrik Mkhitaryan, who scored in the Europa League final during his Manchester United days. He's been struggling with a thigh problem in recent weeks that he picked up in the derby against Milan in the second leg of the semi-final. And Danilo D'Ambrosio, 34-year-old centre-half, has come on. That's a straight swap for Darmian. 6 minutes to go. Ball work down the left-hand side of the penalty area, and City get another corner out of it. And Foden's coming into his own. Lautaro Martinez back defending and doing so bravely. No thought of personal cost. Blocked it, goes out of play for a Manchester City corner, but Foden's playing with a little bit of a swagger now.
Yeah, he has. He's burst in the box on 3 occasions now and been unfortunate probably not to find a pass for a teammate or a finish.
Well, Haaland's inside the 6-yard box. The other 3 Manchester City players who are forward are right on the edge of the penalty area. Foden is waiting on the edge of the D. It's swung in but easily caught by Onana. Inter have got 5 minutes to remedy this situation, and I don't know, maybe another 4 in addition to that. Onana getting the ball forward, whacked it straight into Haaland, who was stood on the edge of the penalty area. A loose ball still scooted through the midfield. Gundogan claiming he was fouled. Referee says no, it's a throw to Inter, which they'll take about 8 yards inside the Manchester City half.
See, City have tossed the ball in the box now on 2 or 3 occasions. For me, there's no need to do that. Just keep possession. They're a fantastic possession-based team. That's what this game needs now.
Now Lukaku working the ball around the corner for Mkhitaryan. Gosens with a cross that's over here. He went past Martinez, who turns to see where Lukaku was. Neither of them able to get on the end of a delivery that was fired in about 8-9 feet up in the air. And he goes out of play for a Manchester City throw in their left-back position. And we're in the 86th minute with Manchester City leading into 1-0 on TalkSport.
Yeah, as I say, nothing silly now. It's a possession game. Keep the ball, keep rotating it around the back. Don't overexpose your players.
Ake taking the throw. And then able to clear it left-footed. High ball which Foden will chase after. Goes out of play for a throw that DiMarco will take. And they work it back to his goalkeeper. Gosens has it now. And the German former Atalanta man back to his goalkeeper Onana, who will clear it right-footed. Martinez coming to meet it, just trying to draw Akanji out of position. Akanji's playing in the middle of the centre-halves now, with Kyle Walker on the right-hand side, and they have flattened off by and large to a 4 City. Brozovic forced to steal the ball out of play for a throw, and judging by the reaction, the City fans over there had a better view. Who's a little bit lucky to get a free kick go his way. They've taken it quickly. Ake's won it back. Foden trying to dance around the challenge. Another free kick given away, this one by Silva. And Inter will take it inside their own half. 87 on the clock. City edging ever closer to history. Inter still with the ball in the midfield. Comes down for DiMarco. DiMarco in his bright yellow boots, playing it forward off Bernardo Silva. Going up for it is Walker. Rodri has got to him. Turned around the corner by Gundogan. Foden flicking it on. One back though by Inter. Trying to make a good fist of this. Maintaining possession of the ball. Not panicking. Still trying to stay calm, but Their need is increasingly desperate. Mkhitaryan down for Gosens. DiMarco making a run ahead of Barella, who's in possession. Gosens by the corner of the penalty area. Controls it with his first touch, lays it back for Barella. Barella into the feet of Mkhitaryan. Former Arsenal and Manchester United man out wide. Gosens sending it in from that left back position. Out it comes towards Bellanova. Right-footed ball swung in, then deep from Brozovic, heading back in, and Lukaku with a header that hit the goalkeeper, then hit a defender, and somehow went smuggled past the post and out of play for a corner.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, when it's come back off, I think it was Diaz that is cannoned off. Could have gone absolutely anywhere. The whole of the Inter bench are up. They thought they'd scored.
City's name might be on this. Inter close again, in towards the near post, the corner. It's taken a little flick at it from Martinez, and Ederson watches it wide, and there are fist bumps from the City players inside the 6-yard box. Aren't many times this season where they've led a charmed life. They have, on occasion, since this went 1-0. They had the DiMarco incident, and then that header from Lukaku hitting Ederson on the sort of left thigh, and credit to Diaz, he could have hit him and gone anywhere, but at the last moment he was able to swivel and turn to make sure that as it's hit him, it has gone wide.
Well, they've rode their luck there. I think their campaign and their performance this year deserves that they have a bit of luck, City, but at the end of the day they've got to just get over the line. That's what this game's about at the moment. What does it need? It needs a team to be resilient, to keep the ball and to stop Inter. In the last attack, Jim, they let Inter build up play in the last third and get player after player after player into the box.
Now Lukaku's got it, running towards the edge of the penalty area. The angle is tight, he's fired it across the face of goal and well wide. And by the time the goal kick is taken, we will be in stoppage time. Pep, since he came to Manchester City, has won 49 Champions League ties. The 50th victory, if it is to come tonight, will be his 300th win as Manchester City's head coach in the sweetest of circumstances. And they have 5 minutes separating them from history. But of course, the last time that an English side was able to win the treble, they did so with stoppage time goals in the Champions League final, completely changing the narrative. Manchester City have to make sure that the narrative doesn't change adversely here. And the treble will be theirs if they can hold on for these 5 minutes. It's played for by Cherby. Gundogan steering a leg up, able to flick the ball down towards Ake. Ake's left-footed ball forward, Foden going up for it, looks as though he's pushed, he's got the free kick. That one to give away by D'Ambrosio.
Yeah, it was. As I say, he's touched Foden, and Foden launched himself there, but amateurish, really. He shouldn't have got anywhere near him, and this is what City's game plan's got to be. Just break the game up, keep possession, don't toss it in the box, no need for that.
Well, the camera's just panned to Marco Materazzi, the Inter legend, former Everton player as well, World Cup winner. Seated not too far from us, and there's just a wry, rueful shake of the head. He believes that it's not their night. The City, over the balance of the 90 minutes, haven't been the better team, but they're leading, and that is all that matters. Onana inside his penalty area. Haaland's actually brought him down, and might get a yellow card for that. It's going to be a free kick which will be taken, and Onana's got a yellow card as well, has he? A free kick which will be taken by the Inter goalkeeper inside his box, and he's waving everybody forward. He's then stolen 7 or 8 yards, but the officials are oblivious to that. He's punted it forward. Lukaku trying to head it on. It's headed away by Ruben Diaz. Ake over on the touchline, shepherds it out of play. Throw to Manchester City, and there are 3 minutes of stoppage time to go. It's 1-0 to City. The treble is nearly theirs.
Yeah, they're close now, very close. It's not been a virtuosious performance by any means, Jim, but it's the result. It's a 1-0. It's a clean sheet for them as it stands. Oh, this is trouble now.
Because a free kick has been given away by Haaland. And it's a chance to swing it inside the Manchester City penalty area. they're not there yet. We are in the 93rd minute. It's DiMarco that will go across to take this free kick. Left-footed in, swinging delivery over Ake's head. Edge of the penalty area, the shot comes in and it misses the target. Goes out of play for a goal kick. And by the time it's taken, we will be in the 4th of the 5 additional minutes. They can touch it. They can smell it. They are so close. Yellow card for Edison, Stewart, time waster.
Yeah, normally happens about this stage of the game. And to be honest with you, he won't worry about that. He'll push the team up. And he's got to try and drop it onto Haaland's head if humanly possible.
He's fallen over as he takes this free kick. He gets back to it, for a goal kick, sorry, gets back to his feet. Ball upfield, D'Ambrosio came to meet it. Haaland with his back to the direction of play, able to get a touch on it. Down towards the Silva, and he's lost out towards DiMarco, who's bought a free kick. Pep saw the challenge for what it was. Onana sprints out of his penalty area and again throws the ball forward 4 yards. And now we'll take the free kick, almost on halfway. Edison's come to meet it. What a good claim that is. Brilliant piece of goalkeeping. He's had some nervy moments tonight. He's made one crucial save in a one-on-one to deny Martinez. He's made another instinctive stop, but taking the pressure out of the situation there by making that catch has really done the job.
Yeah, it's a super take from the goalkeeper, I've got to say. Alleviated a lot of pressure on City, and they're in touching distance now. Phil Foden, brilliant.
Ball goes out of play, it's an Inter throw. A throw that they will take, but they're deep inside their own half, and we've got 30 seconds to go, and Onana brings the ball under control. And right-footed, pumps it forward, looking for Lukaku, another crucial defensive header, and Diaz allows himself a little fist bump at getting it away. And there are 20 seconds to go. And the ball is back with Brozovic on halfway. And he thrashes it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Flick on, potentially dangerous. Silva can steer it clear into all the... Out on the right-hand side of the penalty area, Bellanova with a chance to measure the cross. It's deflected. And